and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without wanting love bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, and when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. I just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. We're coming to you live from the Ligony Club in the heart of New Kingston. It's a slightly overcast but getting cool morning.
There's no sunburst.
No, the sun is hiding from us, but it's a beautiful day and we're happy to be alive. Good morning to all those who have joined us on air and online. It is our pleasure to be with you this morning. We're going to be celebrating a bit of our 1 year anniversary, and we are expecting to have a lot of fun here this morning. Good morning to my co-host, Pastor Percival Palmer.
Good
and of
morning.
course, you know, this is your host, Minett, or your hosts, Minett and Percival.
The hostess with the mostess.
Or Percival and Minett.
You ever heard that expression?
The hostess with the most. Was that about a Twinkie cake that had a cream in the center?
Right, you remember that? Oh, that ages us, doesn't it?
Yes, they don't make those anymore. I read about them. They were very famous. They're famous.
Jumped out of that one very quickly, my friend.
Yes, we don't want to age ourselves. We want to keep people guessing. The Ligony Club is in full Jamaica 60 celebration.
Yes,
I mean, I
came in and I saw it.
The swaths of fabric. I was thinking of having some national colors on me this morning, but I decided to go with the royal purple.
Oh, okay, the necklace. Okay,
yes.
The necklace.
Well, may I just say good morning to those back at the studio. Raphael, thank you so much. You were right on point this morning. We are grateful that everything is lined up for a fabulous morning of conversation and fun. Free-flowing Thursdays is the start of the Morning Connection weekend, so we begin to relax a bit.
It's a long weekend, you know,
yes, they're all the public holidays.
That's number one. Emancipation Day is the first, which is Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. So it's a long weekend. Wow. So
are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, make the most of the long weekend.
You have homework, you have assignments to complete.
Yes, you know the thing. Why you bring it up for? I thought we'd not. Why you bring it up for? But you know, this morning I was just sitting down and checking on this done, this. Oh, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. But the major part of it is the thesis that I am proposing to do and just doing the literature review on it. But I think I've been searching the Jamaican literature for it, and I haven't seen anything. So, when you do that,
so what is your thesis? You mind saying?
It's about communication and marital satisfaction.
Ooh, very racy, Pastor Percival.
Mm-hmm.
Marital satisfaction.
Yes, man.
Is there such a thing?
I think so.
It's like the unicorn.
Yes, there's a very practical side to it, you know. And it's interesting, you know, when you're going through the literature, how people have come up with what makes people who are married satisfied. You know. So it's interesting.
I remember I had a friend married to a pilot, and
yes,
her pilot husband was on the road a lot, and she said it works for me. You know, the time apart and the getting back together again. He's retired now. So I think so. I need to. She could be a good subject for you to see where the satisfaction meter is now that her husband is home a lot more.
But you know, the statistics emerged. We done a paper earlier that with the lockdown, there's actually an article in the one of the papers, the local papers, but then we had to do some research overseas to see what was happening, and they said because of the lockdown, they noticed like in some countries more people are filing for divorce. I was saying, what would have caused that? You just pointed out the fact that he's not there. He's not there, so she's not there, so
right.
We're not in the space too much together. Because the truth is, when you become married, in terms of the legal sense, which you often say to us, or become one, enter into that covenant, you're into somebody's space, and you have come from your family of origin, and you know your family of origin has a significant input in terms of how you deal with situations, how you deal with conflict, how you deal with discussions. Like, I've spoken to some couples and some have said, we just talk about everything and everybody know what is on our mind versus the other individual who is in that covenant who says, you just don't talk about nothing. It's only if push comes to shove, you'll hear. And so those are some of the adapter, how you have to adapt in terms of living in somebody else's space, what you give up and so on. So as Lowell says, when it is finished, I hope
many persons will be interested in the results, not just Lowell.
Yeah, right. So
I am not interested in the results.
Well, that's all right. At least half of you is
I would
interested
rather.
in it.
I see. No, not half. Remember, we become one.
Yes,
so if Lowell is interested, I don't need to be.
Then you are interested.
The information is in the family.
And just I noted in talking to some persons in terms of the whole thing of communication in marriage and in that covenant, it really is so important. And people would say that the highest reason why people get divorced is because of money. It's not because of money, because the communication patterns have not properly adjusted. So
it's lack of satisfaction.
It leads to lack of satisfaction, and people just move out. Yeah. Because why is it that people who have been, who are said not economically well off, stay together, and people who have it
break up?
Wagga wagga, just
yes.
break up,
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing that we need to speak about. Yeah. But it's good. It's the morning's kind of cool.
It's getting cool now. When we were here earlier, moving chairs and getting the set organized, it was hot.
It must have been hot because you're sweating.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we're sweating in the
yes,
morning.
but some people skillfully avoid that part of the proceedings.
So people skillfully avoid that part of the proceedings. What a thing. I wonder who those people are.
We'll talk about it in the break. Please stay with us. We're going to be right back. This is the Morning Connection.
Better choice in all your electrical supplies. A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Easy! Let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer to truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Don, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith. God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record Label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
Bess100.5 FM brings you youth empowerment and resilience, a 30-minute program with Royton McLaren every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Your Monday nights will not be the same again. Managing stress, trauma? Let's talk on youth empowerment and resilience with Royton McLaren on Bess100.5 FM every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m.
Bess100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
Today's best musics. The best mix of your light rock favorites is on
Promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. We need to just say a word of acknowledgement to our sponsors who are hosting us here. The Ligani Club, over 110 years old. In fact, today is an annual general meeting where I imagine they will seek to put in a new board of managers or
Governors?
yes, this is our managing committee is what we operate under, a managing committee. The place is beautifully decorated to celebrate the 60th. The usual fabrication of the entrance and a very beautiful, I'm beginning to like that 60th logo. Yeah, it's beautiful.
With the bird.
With the hummingbird.
Yeah, coming out of the 60.
Yes.
Getting ready to fly. But we make that declaration every Wednesday.
Yes,
in terms of the declarations that you make.
Yeah.
Powerful. So you're speaking into that, my sister.
Do you know concerning those declarations? I think I wrote them while sitting beside you on the morning that we said we need to do declarations for the nation. Each Wednesday morning that I read them, I realize that every time I read them, they seem new to me. They really are not mine. When you write something that comes out of your own imagination, it has a familiar ring and you could even recite it. I read them on Wednesday mornings, and every morning that I read them, it seems as if they were just written. And we've been reading them since January, and we're now
inspired.
I think I recognize the work of the Spirit. I said, okay, so that's how it is. I mean, I've written speeches, I've written articles, and there's a point at which I can literally recite some of it because it still resonates so strongly in my spirit. But when your hand is moving and the words are not yours, every time you see them, they seem new unless you make a deliberate effort to, study it and recite it the way people do Louise Bennett poems. I feel like now that you're celebrating the 60th, you need to do a Louise Bennett poem.
I need to do that.
Yeah. I feel like it's you.
I guess I'll find one, but remember when that young lady that
Erica
who had come was the poet, Miss Jacks us to
Mrs. Martin.
I went to office yesterday and rain was falling.
Yes.
And I said, rain or fall.
Please do not try to credit that to Louise Bennett.
Rain or fall and the dirty stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But the younger people think of it in terms of rain or fall, breeze or blow.
That's what I thought. Because you were
breeze or blow. Yes, and the youngster, we have one of our young people is acting as the receptionist, yes. Gabriel, and I says rain or fall, breeze or blow, and the dirty touch. She said, no, that's not it.
No dirty don't involve in this.
Yes. and she said, no, this is how it goes. Rain or fall, breeze or blow, chicken by the outer door. You never heard that one before.
Well, I hope Raphael caught that word before the Broadcasting Commission fine us for going, bats in the belfry.
Yes.
You know the expression bats in the belfry. You're going batty.
Yeah. So
crazy.
And then
crazy talk here on the Morning Connection.
No, but just how language is so very different and corporate.
Well, versatile.
This gentleman came from Curacao and he got up and he says, Batman. I says, Batman. He says, no. So we are thinking, what is he talking about? This is in church. He says
yes.
It means to clap your hands in Papimento.
Ooh.
That's what it meant. And I said, wow.
So Batman is a celebration?
Yes. Clap your hands.
Huh? and it in turn says gay. Yes, it's happy.
So,
Clapping your hands.
yes. And if you go to you studied in Barbados,
Oh, yes.
1 year, and we talk about
Bula.
Bula. And I said to myself,
A Bula man.
so I said to them, I acted for a short period of time as director of sports at you the blind.
Mm-hmm.
I took a intercampus team down to Barbados. I said, behave yourselves, guys. Do behave yourselves. So we were on the bus, public transport, moving up and down. And somebody from the Jamaican team give out, saying, could I eat a bula right now? I said, don't go down that road. You know what it means here? Because
so they did so with knowledge.
Yes.
All right. There's somebody should have just kidnapped him.
Yes. But today, as we are celebrating our independence, we are celebrating God's goodness to us in terms of how diverse we are as a people, with all the different elements that have made us Jamaica, but yet we are a great people. We are moving towards oneness because, as you said, in terms of our declaration, an outstanding season of what?
Achievement. Yes.
Because he says that when we become one, that is when he causes for the blessing to flow. And we want the blessings of God to flow on this nation at this point in time. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit of what's happening in the news in Jamaica today, because the recent developments concerning the investigation of this missing ladies,
another level.
it's stepped up. And I'm seeing here a fairly senior journalist from a fairly popular and well-regarded radio station on Twitter saying that, coming conclusively to a decision that the baby mother district constable has had nothing to do with the events, and persons who were linking her to the events should now make preparations for civil court, where slander and libel can be the order of the day. And just kind of going a distance into it, that I say to myself,
He's done she has done their investigation.
Yeah, right. And this comment is no better than all the comments that he's disparaging. We've often talked about the role of the media in either investigating things or pursuing things or sharing information or misleading or any of the many things of which they stand frequently accused. And I'm looking at how this has been going, even with social media. Social media has been rife with,
oh my Lord, all different kind of things.
Yeah, recorded conversations, tell all, expose type interviews, persons with no known journalistic ability but with lots of social media presence, are running their own shows and so on and so forth. I tell you, that occasion when we were doing Battlefield of the Mind and looking at misinformation, disinformation, and just preparing persons with tips on how to consume, evaluate, spit out, whatever you want to do with social media. I believe it's necessary to just keep revisiting those issues so that discernment, some element of common sense, but also just sheer native intelligence can go to work and guide you in how you handle some of these things that come at you. What I took note of in all this is that a human being has just dropped out of sight and communication.
Nobody can find.
She has family and loved ones who were in sufficiently close contact with her up to the time of her disappearance to be very concerned. And their concerns were not being acted on with dispatch. Not unusual in Jamaica. I still have many reports to the police that, I say many, I mean more than two, that I'm waiting that one day someone might. I mean, from simple break-in at the house where they steal equipment or tools, to a motor car just mysteriously exploding in the driveway and being burned to the ground, to threats of violence and so on.
Yes. Car and it just explode, boom.
Yep. At around 2-3 o'clock one morning, there was a huge explosion, and when we went outside, a fairly new Mercedes GL 450 wagon was aflame, fully on fire in my driveway, my front yard.
Are you serious?
Oh Lord, you haven't heard all of my war stories.
Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's too good to be true. Like you just have this thing that they did that they says no, it's like fiction, but actually happened.
Yeah. You couldn't make this up. Wow. My car burned down, one very expensive car, and then it happened at a time when certain things were happening. The same things with the GLC were happening, and I made multiple reports. It was a kind of life insurance for me to make sure that the reports were documented, not a single, that nobody even spoken to on the matter, right here in Jamaica.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Threats of kidnapping and violence against my family received on the phone. The records were there. Nobody to even say, like now they're all over the place with getting information from the carriers on who did what. Yeah. All of that was possible in those days. Nobody to come back and say, well, we tracked it and the call came from here or there, or not a single thing. So I do know what it is to be very disturbed by the lack of responsiveness to your situation. And then on the other hand, I've also been the subject, not me alone, but I've been the subject of quick arrest. Notice of notification to the public that I and others were persons of interest in relation to foolishness, and then arrest. I've seen yellow tape around a building that only contained equipment. So when a young woman disappears and her family and her supporters become seriously agitated about the police and the lack of responsiveness, I cannot fault the public from weighing in, and some persons have deliberately put false information into play to create chaos or take advantage of the excitement, or to make themselves into a bigger star than they already are. But we who are looking on must have the discernment to wade through what we see happening and develop a mature understanding of it.
Yeah, that's so true. And it seems to me,
and the journalists should not make it worse, is really what I wanted to say.
It seemed to me that the journalists are a part of it. People have said that there's no real independent journalists anymore in regards to what is happening.
Yes,
because dependent on who pay you and who gives the most ads to your station and thing,
there your loyalty lies.
Yeah, I remember this, because
well, it's a good thing we're not paid.
Yeah, I've been paid by the Lord in terms of say you do that and I take care of those other things. I remember this.
I'm paid with love.
Yeah. Blessings. Which the Lord will do.
That's the currency, That is the ultimate currency.
I'm lock it down one way, the Lord opening up another way, because that's how we operate. But look at this. So here am I going. I remember now, and when the Prime Minister was not well, there's a lot of things.
Which Prime Minister?
Michael Mann.
Oh, dear Lord. We've had a few prime ministers since Michael Mann. You throw it in so casually as if,
he was not well, and there's a lot of rumor about the
but I do understand that he was your last prime minister. All other prime ministers after that. I see where you're going.
Was not well. And they were saying, okay, there are a lot of uncertainty. And I remember a journalist who worked in one of the major
media houses
says the story came in and they killed it because they have the power.
They decide what goes on
And
it.
people
Yeah.
don't know that. The people believe that when they see the news, it is what is coming out. But the truth is, in the news editor, based on their leanings, can make a story go or kill a story.
Yes.
And we saw that happen even in U.S. elections with Biden and his son and his mix up with they call it the laptop from hell, and they decide to kill it, and then afterwards it came out. Oh yes, it's true.
You know, that's a honeybee that you're swatting away so casually.
But that means
it's coming to take from your sweetness. So don't bring back the bee.
It's coming.
Bring back the bee.
Yeah, and that as we talk about honey and what it means to us as a country, that is a industry, which is small people do it. I think it's gonna explode because our honey is so unique, very very unique. But we talk about the power and the influence of media. We see it now around the world.
Wow. All right. I did say let's talk a little bit about what's happening
in the news.
Right. And I am irresistibly drawn to the Confessions of Golding, the Golding Confessions. Does he have a book coming out or something?
It looks that way.
Because I know he's not trying to come back to be prime minister. Andrew would not have it. But he apparently had so much to say that it had to be.
They have another article. Yesterday,
I'm sure they have another thing coming out. Yeah. Yes. Today, former Prime Minister Golding is blaming divisive political parties for damaging the independence. For damaging. What is this? Independence Project? It's two words, in and dependence. What is the Gleaner seeking to tell us? No, but you understand that they mean independence is one word they're aiming for, but it's been broken into two on this, which gives it a whole different meaning. So the Independence Project, what's the Independence Project? It's a project. Claiming our independence is a project.
Like the Jamaica Project.
You call it Jamaica Project?
I think Jamaica is a big project. If you look at it that way, we'd achieve more things.
Yeah.
You know, we say that we don't have a justice system that works for all. So we put all the resources in it. You know that when you're doing project management, they say, what is the limiting? You look at it and they say, what is the limiting factor? So we're going to put all the resources that are needed in terms of that does not become a limiting factor in what we do. They say we're going to crash that, put all the resources in project management. So if you look and you say, that is the point there, then we put all the resources. And if we do that with the justice in Jamaica, we want justice. I put all the resources, people resources, because of it would be all right.
I'm mulling over what you said about creating a commercial context for how we address some of these national issues. I'm thinking about it. I know businessmen like to say if you give it a more commercial focus, then you can use the different tools and philosophies that stand behind business. Maybe adapt them a bit, and and then you're likely to see some results. But I feel like when it comes to guiding a nation or participating in the emergence of a nation, it becomes a costly mistake to have too intrusive a hand in curating the results, because much of who we are emerges in an organic way and should, in order for it to be authentic and truthful. And I make a distinction between authentic and truthful, because if it comes out of you, it is authentically yours, but it can be a perversion of the truth. like what we see happening in Jamaica with the overwhelming incidents of violence. That is a perversion of who we are. It's coming out of a small part of us, but it is so significant and overwhelming in its impact. And it may well be the result of too much unnatural interference in some things that should have been left to emerge on its own. For example, left to myself, I would be a more sharing and caring individual. But when certain strictures are imposed on me, it creates in me a scarcity mentality where I'm now thinking, when I see how the government take taxes, how they don't use it properly, how, I begin to see some things in a different way, and I become a reflection of what I see. If I see selfishness around me, even though I may be, naturally inclined to kindness, I begin to modify my behavior to adapt to what I'm seeing around me. And the parts of us that are in such deep revolt, the marginalized communities, even the well-heeled business people who see an army down there that they could finance and control, those parts of us send a message and a signal that is confusing. You see people misbehaving at a certain level, and your reaction, like some of our callers who say, put a law and imprison them. You have that reaction because that's the solution you come to, given some other things that are around you. Whether it is your fear for your safety and security. If I fear for my safety, then I want the threat locked away, as opposed to any kind of remedial treatment. Intervention, yes.
But when I'm speaking to us as a project,
yeah.
If you want to do an intervention, and normally when you do intervention in companies, if you fix the people problem, then all the problems.
I'm gonna swap the word address for the word fix, because so many persons have tried to fix, and if you even visualize, fix means you go in and put your hands on making repair.
Right.
But address it is to highlight it so that those who need to fix themselves, I need to fix myself. I know that even if I sit on a psychiatrist's couch and accept guidance and urging, I still know that the effort has to be mine to truly benefit. And I know you're in agreement with that, because we've talked about, even as we look at this massive project STAR, and we pray for its success, because can I tell you, you can't ask for a higher placed prince of the land than Mr. Duncan. Isn't he a prince of the land?
He's head of the PSOJ.
Yes, he's definitely a prince of the land, and we've been praying that the princes of the land begin to hear compassion and respect and so on.
That's a declaration.
And those are the declarations. Every time I consider what I see around me, I go back to, okay, how does that relate to the impact of our declarations and the impact of what other persons are saying? I mean, we're fortunate in that we speak it into the public domain, so we can imagine that it is having impact, but there are a lot of persons praying privately saying the same thing, but the cumulative weight of what is done publicly and privately is that we see some things turning. But when I contemplate what's happening, as I see the princes addressing, even Mr. Fitzjackson, who is definitely a prince, has found a way. He says, if the rest of the court won't go with me, I will make a personal assault myself. And I'm proud of the attorney, an attorney whom I know and who is a quiet force. Yes.
I know him, for a long time.
Yeah, well, he was on campus around Do you know him from campus? Yeah, he's a little after me. He's right.
He's after us. I know him.
Yeah, he's like a year. He's the year after my group.
Good guy.
Yeah, I see him quietly doing his thing. We see the Maroon community. They filed their action. We're seeing things being stirred up. But we know that ultimately it is the heart of the individual that needs to be moved into a place of repentance and submission to a higher power. I say it openly.
Yeah, so and you've said so much.
I know.
I don't want to miss. You said fix, address.
Yeah.
If we address the people problem as you go into an organization and seek to address what is happening, the other things will
fall into place.
Fix because we keep saying it. The nation doesn't exist outside of the people that live in the nation. So if we're addressing the issues of the nation and addressing the people of the nation,
then it has to be the people,
because the dynamics will shift. You address people what it is that they are saying and saying, okay, this is what we need to do. And it is not a means to an end. It is the end itself. You fix the people, it's good. It's all good, which is why people say, Passy always talk about it, But
who are these people?
Yeah, there's a prayer pastor and all of them thing there.
That's your job.
Yeah, but I don't pray, but I tell them. There are a couple of scriptures that guide in terms of how I see ministry. One is Ephesians 4:11-13. It says, "We give all of these people, the princes as you call them, the apostle, the thing, so that they can equip the people."
Equip the saints, for duty in the marketplace. Yeah,
and if we do that in terms of a mind shift, we're talking about empowering people, lifting up people. It's
on cause. So that's how we say they messed up. They created confusion in the ranks, and now that you want unity, it is difficult to find it.
There's no trust for you. Are you causing?
So when we come back, you can have more to say about Prime Minister Golding's confessions.
You're simply the best, better than all the rest, better than anyone I ever met. You're simply the best.
Bess FM 100.5 on your dial. Keep listening.
Debbie, come show with the vegetable peelings them in the drum out the door for me now. By the way, you know, say you go help me cook, and you just sit down out there watch TV.
My girl, now you for tell me when you done cut up the things them. So Sharon, why you throw them away? You know, say you can use them in the garden soil as compost.
Compost? What you mean? What is compost?
All right, so it's a process where, you know, organic matter like them vegetable peelings where you have your fruit waste, grass cuttings and other things that can decompose or rotten.
Okay.
Them form a dark, rich substance. Now, that substance, it act like a fertilizer for the soil. Wait there. Now you say you're going to start grow your own food now.
Oh, yeah, I say. You know, say me never know so that can go on?
Yeah, man. I do it enough time when I'm there country and it help me save money, you know. So I have to buy fertilizer for the soil. I make my compost with things in our house and my yard.
For real? So what kind of things we can use to that? Because anything for save money, and that me in, you know.
All right, so compost, it have two groups. You have the greens and the browns. The greens are things them will give off nitrogen, and the browns are the things them will give off carbon. So the greens would be like them cucumber skin where you throw away, grass cuttings, tea bag where you use boil your tea this morning and I go throw out, all of that.
All of them things that me never know, you know.
But no, so you never know. Lucky for you, you have me as a sister. Anyway, so the browns would include cardboard, sawdust, paper straw, and even that piece of paper towel they will use wipe off the table.
Paper towel? But paper towel used for do so much more things. So how that I go?
You're right, but it's not good for use the paper towel if you use it the other human stuff like blow your nose. Don't use that in your compost. But if you use it and do things like wipe off the table or wipe some plates, then you can use it.
Oh, I see.
But you can use things like bone, oil, grease, fat, meat, scraps, milk, and them something there in your compost.
Okay. One thing with you doing, Debbie, you have use when you come from country. No?
Oh, so you think me there country just a sit down like me nice?
But seriously though, how you know about all these things?
Remember, some love my research, and as a country girl, me have to find ways to make life easier. You should have known this by now still.
For real, man. Me know say I saw you stay a long time.
Also, when we compost, the food we grow, it healthier. We also reduce the impact on the environment. So enough of them things here where we can use as compost, people just throw them away and full up the waste disposal sites. But if we use them in our backyard garden, then we would have reduced the amount of waste we go to the dumps.
Okay. So like how me have things that me can use to make the compost. How me go about doing it? Tell me, what is the process?
All right, I got you. So you need your kitchen or your yard scraps. You need air, water, soil, and a plastic or metal tin with holes we can drain, so like a half a drum. Now, if you don't have none of that, you can make it at home with wire, wood, or you can use some pallet.
Okay, yeah man, me can find that.
Good. So you mix your kitchen and your yard waste together with the soil, and then you add some bulky material like wood chip or cardboard. Then you add water to moisten the pile so that the compost loose and airy. But you can't add too much water though, because you can't make the compost soggy.
Okay, may I make sure I listen very carefully, because me need to start doing this right now.
All right. I have to mix the compost consistently, that just keep on and turn it so that enough oxygen can reach it.
Listen, Debbie, me want to try this soon, but you have to go make sure so you there to walk me through the process when me do it,
Don't worry yourself, man. Me can all show you today when you're done cook. Me need a little exercise, trust me.
Then how me gonna know if me do something right though?
All right. So make we say the compost heaps smell bad, like it stink. It means that the compost too wet or it not properly ventilated, enough air now reach it. So you can add some coarse dry material to it and mix it up. If the center of the heap dry or you started some white stuff, white mold, that can mean too much coarse or woody material, or it not get enough water. If that happen, you can break up the woody material, add some fresh green waste, and just keep on turn it over for moisten all of the ingredients.
Boy, Debbie, that's a whole heap of information. Remind me though, at which farming school mama did send you go again?
Hey, go on your ways, Me a teacher, you forgot?
Me not forgot at all, and it's a good thing you turn teacher. Because every time you come here, you teach me something new.
That's right. Anyways, hurry up and cook and make we go.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Bess FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minett and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Bess100 FM.
Bess100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
With all the best music from yesterday and today. All genre radio.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minett and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Bess100 FM. Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minett and Percival.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. We are doing a quick review. I mean, it is our anniversary, so reviews are the order of the day. Percy and I have been together for a year now. And you, of course. Oh, love you online, which is a good point to say good morning to those who are chatting to us online. Earl Brown, to Taki, Truth to Power. And let me just see what some of the guys are saying. Delroy has made a very useful comment here. He says, prayers are the links that connect us with the creator of this universe. So true.
100%.
Yeah.
Full 100, that Delroy. Full 100.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see, Truth to Power is always kind of incisive in his comments. And referring to the disappearance of this young lady, he says, if they think she had nothing to do with it, meaning the baby mother constable, she's a constable too, or whatever, district constable, why send her on leave? And why did she refuse to give the police a statement and lawyer up? You know, these are some important both human rights and constitutional law questions, because the first thing is, why put her on leave? The error in how they approached it was waiting until there was such an outcry that it no doubt became a threat even to the lady's safety and ability to function in her job. They're really, you know, we tend to be very short on having policy that works across the board. When politicians mess up, we don't have a protocol that requires them to stand back, so investigation and so on can take place with some degree of independence. We like to talk about the presumption of innocence only when it suits us. So they say, well, he's presumed innocent, so we can't do anything that looks punitive. But if you have a policy in place that persons understand and they are covered in terms of their emoluments, then simply let the policy run. So everybody knows if I take this job and my name is called, even if my name is called maliciously and with no apparent justification, I need to step back, let the process run its course, and my job will cover me in terms of monies, and even, you know, making clear statements to the public concerning my innocence.
It becomes standard.
So it becomes the standard. They call him
everybody can say, because I'm guilty, you know, that's why they
yeah. So now they waited so long that when they put her on, they take her off the front line, it looks as if she's guilty.
Yeah.
So the thing you were trying to avoid, you actually created, and you create it as a coincidence of something else.
And it's so unfortunate. It just speaks
so
to
the truth is,
reactive nature.
Now you're reacting, you're not leading. And when you're not leading, the people who are in the crowd with you begin to take chances with you and disrespect your authority.
And it goes back to the principle I was talking about in terms of organizations being an organism.
Yeah, when you say, and when you talk about the project.
Yeah, the project.
Yes, if you treat it in that way, you'd have your protocols, standard operating procedures.
So if we do it that way, which is why you have a vision statement, you have all of those things, you have
and you're not afraid to document and follow your process. I find that people who don't like to document things are people who want to make it up as they go along based on who's in front of them.
No, that is such an important principle, you know.
That's why England don't have no constitution. The Queen want to do what she feel like. But anyway, that is the behavior of royalty. You wake up feeling this way, you just, and many leaders in our country. And then we talk about it's because we're Africans and we like the oral traditions.
Come on.
Oral tradition is for folklore and entertainment. When it comes to law and order, write it down.
Oh my Lord. So you know the boundaries that exist.
Absolutely. And if it demonstrates itself to be unworthy over time, you know what to change.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the problem, as Truth to Power is saying. Why did they remove her? Why send her on leave? they should have a policy in place. If not, you'll create just this kind of confusion. The second now is, why did she refuse to give the police a statement and lawyer up? Well, those are her absolute rights, whether she's guilty or she innocent. She cannot be compelled to speak. A person will speak in support of their interest if they are so moved. So you will say, I am innocent, I am innocent. But you are under no compulsion to speak. And even when a matter goes to court, you know, at no point in time, you can remain silent throughout the whole proceedings. And it should never be held against you.
Okay, I never knew that. That is
in fact, when you're in court and you're in the presence of a jury, the judge who has charge of the law in the proceedings is obliged to tell the jury that the person's silence cannot be construed against them. Nobody should say, but if he's innocent, why never say so? Nobody should say, but everybody is saying they saw him here or they saw him there and him not deny it. Your failure to deny something cannot be used as being conclusive of anything. And the reason, of course, goes back to something very scriptural. No human being knows the heart of another person. Therefore, you cannot judge them. You cannot say, well, because he never say anything, it meaning guilty. No, the person could be completely traumatized by the event and them tongue just tie up.
Yeah, and that is a real thing, you know. She probably saw an experience thing and
And in her head, she's saying a lot in her head, but she's afraid to say anything out loud because she might incriminate herself.
Yeah.
You know what I remember? Okay, I don't think anyone who knows me well would say Minett is not an articulate person, that Minett would be tongue-tied, or that Minett can't communicate. I chose to speak. Well, when you appear before the General Legal Counsel, that is a place where if you remain silent, it is held against you. And it's one of the things that need to change, because they will accuse you of stuff. And if you don't say enough in your defense, they simply send you to trial. They don't look at what the other person is saying against you and test it against its own merit to see whether there's a case to go forward. That's a very, very strong weakness in their system. Make sense? Strong weakness.
Yeah, but
they don't respect your silence. In fact, when I saw some things happening, I spoke to someone there and they said to me, when you get an affidavit where someone has accused you of something, you must answer it as comprehensively as possible so that the committee can be assisted in making a decision. If you don't answer it with that level of detail and so on, they just put it to trial.
Yeah.
That's what she told me about the inner workings of it. But that's really, I digressed a bit there. This notion that a person must prove their innocence or give you information to show that they are innocent, it is wrong, because it is the prosecution who must prove. And you can remain silent. Can you imagine if you are a mute person? Meaning you truly lack the ability to speak, and someone accuses you of something, and because you can't tell your side,
you're in a problem.
You're in a problem.
Aye.
It should not be so, because even the bit about why I said it's scriptural, if you are accused of something, unless there are two or more witnesses who can say this is how it goes.
That's how it goes.
Yes.
Scripture.
So when one man accuses you of something, and his people who are aligned to him and are not independent of him join in and say so, it's still only one voice, because self-serving voices don't count. And it's one of the reasons why a husband and wife, and if a spouse is on trial, nobody dare try to get the other one to come and speak against the spouse.
Okay.
Unless, it is a matter between the two of them. So there are a lot of principles of law tied up in the right to remain silent, and the onus of proof being on the person who is accusing you. That's how it is in our jurisdiction, where we practice a particular type of democracy and jurisprudence. On the French system, in French law, it is not so. In French law, the state, and it comes back. Remember, the French were among the first in Europe to enter into this age of reasoning and supplant God, and they were the ones who were greatly disappointed with the abuses of the church, and they decided to swap out intelligence for faith.
Okay.
But they come from a history of kings and queens, the monarchy. And if the queen accuses you of something, you need to prove to her that you're innocent.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. The monarch is never wrong, even when they are insane.
That's true.
So when you come out of that kind of tradition, the prosecutor who stands in the place now of the state, when the prosecutor lays a case against you, it is presumed that they have done everything
within their power.
And it is now your time to say, it is not so, I am innocent, and to right. So there are different traditions.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Education continues.
In our jurisprudence, the accused person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. There are other jurisdictions in which it is the reverse. But in that jurisdiction, you find that things don't go to trial as quickly because the prosecutor has to make sure. So when do you remember the Inquisition?
Yes.
In the Inquisition, which was that is how those were conducted. Once a person was brought before the inquisitors, they were presumed to be guilty. And so the judgment was executed rather swiftly, because if you come forward and you can't say anything to disturb their position, it's next.
And next goes the...
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we do have to understand that our Constitution guarantees us that right of silence. And the right to have an attorney to, so you say, yes, you lawyer up, and the persons who lawyer, it kind of look bad, yes, because you're there thinking about if so. But I've had at least one situation where a person thought they were guilty of something.
When they investigate.
And when you got the full account, they were not guilty, but in their mind, it's like, how do I put it? If you give your child, your child can't drive well, and you give him a motor vehicle, and something happens, you blame yourself, and you carry that guilt so heavily that when it's almost as if you were driving.
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
Yes, and you carry the guilt so heavily that when you're accused of something,
you say,
you say it's my fault.
Yeah,
I know it's my fault, even though
you were not driving at all.
Technically, and yes, in a civil court, someone might be able to say you were negligent, but that's not a crime. Negligence is not a crime. Someone might say, you were negligent in giving the person that kind of power, but in the eyes of the criminal law, you're not guilty. So I've had at least one situation where the person evinced every attitude of guilt, trembling, can't speak, and when I questioned and said, okay, so give me the evidence, narrate the account, and I'm like, but you're not guilty.
You're not guilty or not. Anyway.
Bad judgment maybe for not being careful about this or that, but no, you're not guilty of a crime. So lawyers would tell you that if you're caught up in certain things, keep your mouth shut and get a lawyer. I mean, it's good for business, but it's good for business, but it's also
but again, we spoke about education. A lot of people, because the policeman comes to your house and said this, that, you just assume they're guilty.
Yes.
Right. They don't know their rights.
Yes.
I see that happening in a lot of things. People are saying, but you can't do that. You can't do that. And when you begin, because you know your rights under the law of the policeman, back up. I'm trying to look at me and the police. I know what is.
He's using his authority
so
in a very persuasive way.
Yeah.
Or you think about all those individuals who the police approach them and they run.
Yes.
And a hefty chase ensues, and then it's like, why did you run? Oh, well, I thought it was my baby mother sent you to collect money. Or, you start to get so
no, but that's a serious thing, because let me tell you something, because you grew up, and this is something I have to deal with. personally, you grew up with an impression of the police. What them going to do? So a policeman stop you. And you begin to say, what me do now? And it is simply a routine check. Hello. So you've learned in terms of this is part of the conditioning of myself. Hello, good morning. I smile. How can I help you, officer? And that shifts and releases the tension you feel. You wonder what you do now. You understand that? Okay, can you relate to that? Because some people don't know their rights and therefore they've seen police and they've started quiver. Yeah. But
we've seen in other countries where persons have ended up fatally shot because the police stop them. They assume it is about one thing. It really isn't about the thing they are fearing.
Yes.
And then, they take evasive action or they start behave funny, and next thing you know, they're dead, and you start to hear about different things. Yeah. So it's better to maintain your silence. And the earliest time you can get a lawyer,
Yeah. So you were responding to
you want to go back to power. Yes, man. That's because he's making the commentary that most people are thinking.
Yeah. And you did a bit of clarification in regards to that. So we'll go back to Mr. Bruce, because we left Mr. Bruce. We'll go back to Mr. Bruce. It says yesterday I had an article, his biggest regret. I say Mr. Golden, let's move from regret to
repentance. True repentance. And bring your party with you.
Yeah, man. I'll bring all the people that you know with you, because there's something that repentance does spiritually that releases the strong man from believing that he has a right,
he's invincible,
that he has a right to do things.
Yeah.
Because when you repent and accept that, hello, I did wrong, but I'm changing my way of thinking and doing things, you close a door spiritually. Let me tell people what the spiritual consequence of repentance is. So even when Jesus Christ came, after he was in the fast, he came out declaring, repent, because the kingdom of God is with you. He was simply saying to them, change your way of thinking. Change your way of thinking. There is a better way that you can go about doing this. And he closed the door on the old and opened the door upon the new covenant that was going to be released through his death, burial, and resurrection.
The resurrected transhuman body.
Yes.
Let me just confirm with the producer that we are going to be able to do our phone interview. All right, because I held off saying who our guests are this morning because I was not entirely certain that the main person was going to be available. But now that it's confirmed that we can do it in the way. He lives in Mandeville, which he described as country. I wanted him in studio with me. Dr. Canute Thompson,
yes, I know,
is our guest this morning. I became interested in Dr. Thompson maybe 2-3 years ago, reading several of his articles in the Gleaner on matters that we had we had in common, concerns that we had in common. He describes himself as one of those, I'm going to put in especially anointed to speak truth to power.
Oh, so truth to power, we found you. We found you.
Yes.
You found your king.
And
I wonder if he's truth to power.
No, I don't think he's truth to power. He would be in deep disguise. He'd have an alter ego. He expresses himself rather differently from truth to power. But Dr. Thompson is a senior lecturer in education, planning, and policy. And leadership at the University of the West Indies. He's a prolific writer.
Yeah, man, he loves to write.
He's the author of 7 books. And if you hear the titles of the books, you'll get a sense of what preoccupies his mind. Education and development, Policy Priorities for Jamaica and the Caribbean. That is his 2020 publication. He has a co-authored monograph, An Exploration of Philosophical Assumptions that Inform Educational Policy in Jamaica. The third one is Reimagining Educational Leadership in the Caribbean, and this is his 2019 work. So he has published 2 things in 2020 and 1 in 2019. And in 2018, he did Reflections on Leadership and Governance in Jamaica Towards a Better Society. This is in 2018. You notice how it's escalating. You can see a trajectory. I'm going to mention it in a little bit. And he also has Locating the Epicenter of Effective Educational Leadership in the 21st Century. That is in 2015. So those are the seminal publications, right? And what you can see with the man is a kind of an escalation of the urgency concerning the matters on his heart. He starts looking at the 21st century in 2015. Then he looks at leadership and governance. He's now in Parliament and Jamaica House in 2018. And then in 2019, he zeroes in on education as being at the foundation of what ails us. In 2019, he looks at educational leadership. So he's now in the ministry. Then in 2020, he and another colleague does an exploration of philosophical assumptions that inform policy. So he's now looking at policy. And in 2020, he then does a work on policy priorities. So you can see someone who is fine-tuning his focus. And, right. So it is no surprise that he lectures on education. He's in the Educational Policy Planning and Leadership Center. He is a social activist and public intellectual who believes the role of an academic is inherently that of a social change agent. This is something that I am in full agreement on with him. I know, we've not even expressed condolences to our brother Paul Goulding, who lost his wife, and would be celebrating her departure tomorrow at your church.
I don't have a church.
At your place of worship. So, all right, we've got this. Yeah, we've got the signal for the break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking to Dr. Kenwood Thompson, and I certainly am looking forward to the conversation, and I hope you are too. Stay with us, please.
Best FM, disciplines by me. Best FM, Best FM.
He's coming back. Yes, indeed, it's redemption time with Apostle Clive Campbell, presenting a life-changing, life-challenging message to encourage, inspire, and motivate you towards your destiny. Every Tuesday night from 9:30 p.m. until 12:30 a.m. and on Saturday from 9 o'clock until 10, right here on Bess100 FM. It's redemption time.
I'm standing firm.
Let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer to truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Don, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith. God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record Label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
With all the best music from yesterday and today. All genre radio.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
blood drive starts at 9 a.m. and you can join us at midday for the back to school treat. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, invite as many donors as you can, and you will be eligible to earn cash prizes starting at $10,000 for third place, $20,000 for second place, and first place prize of $50,000. And there's more! Free medicals for all students returning to school this September. Don't miss this opportunity to give blood and save lives.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection, and thank you for staying with us. It struck me as we were talking about Dr. Thompson that we have suffered another loss in the network. I'm saying Professor Golding. Is he a professor?
I think he is.
Yes.
He is.
Professor Golding from the University of Technology recently suffered the loss of his life partner, his wife, mother of his child. And we just want to say here from the Morning Connection that we grieve with you, brother. We know that she was ill, that much you had disclosed. And so it is an end to her suffering. But we know a man who can comfort and does, in fact, comfort those who grieve. And I certainly hope that you will take as much from him as you can.
It's kind of interesting. He came by. I was in office. But it was a sudden thing. It's not.
Oh.
I know this man from somewhere. And then when he left it down at me, I said, okay. When we're talking about digital literacy.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he come and spoken to us about digital literacy.
Yeah, he was our first guest
and then he was,
in that series.
Says, who and who? And I said, but I know this man. That's the 70s, 80s. I said, oh.
Yeah.
His wife.
Right. I tell you, it is whenever someone suffers that kind of loss, I think for like a few seconds what it must be like, and then I immediately shut that away. Don't want to know. Time enough. They say sufficient unto the day. Yes. I don't want to know. I will have to contend with it one day, or I made an arrangement with Lowell that I will die first.
Oh, that's the arrangement you made?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I tell him. So you see, he's still resisting it.
Okay,
yeah, so we die together.
But the other side of it, even from a pastoral perspective, it's always so difficult.
All right, we have some requests. We have some requests online here. Just
to walk with the person. Yeah.
We have a request for music. I'm gonna say it now in the hope that it can be facilitated. Earl Brown has asked us to play a tune for the missing people of Jamaica. He says play either "Blowing in the Wind." Blowing in the Wind. Is that which one is that? Oh, that's the name of the song. All right, keep going.
Before they say a man. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind.
Is that a Beatles song?
It was Paul McCartney.
Oh, okay. Well, he actually says, so blowing in the wind, or where have all the flowers gone?
Ah, that's another one.
By Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yes.
Both songs are by the same.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. No, I think it's different.
Bob Dylan.
Right.
Okay. So whichever one. Earl, I thank you for making that request, because sometimes we do become a little not immune, but
jaded,
we become jaded. That's the perfect word, Pastor Percival. We become jaded, and it ceases to have the impact that it should. And that's why those persons had to take to the street to say, come on, a human being who laughed and cried and was fun to be around, and is our daughter or niece or beloved, she's missing. There's a space where she used to be. It cannot be just business as usual. You have to take notice.
And then even in terms of how we deal with it, dependent on where we are from. That is the injustice of it, That is the injustice of it. Oh, just another one of them. And then you hear another response. And I'm saying, hello? That is the inhumanity that has emerged with us is a human being and the heart of somebody is sad.
Yes, it really is very sad. And
Yeah.
you know, we were talking about it. We are talking about it this morning. That when you see persons coming out like that and being so vocal and insistent on being heard and that something be done, it's because they have had they have a history or an experience of abuse and of being ignored, and they know that if they don't cry out as loudly as possible, that abuse would be repeated. We're talking about someone had written something unfavorable about Fitz Bailey, and we Lowell and myself were just looking back at our interaction with his office and him personally and so on. And I said, but you know what? When we say we don't trust and we don't believe, it's because of our personal experience. So when we see other people out there saying we don't trust and we don't believe, we shouldn't assume that they are being fanciful or they just, we say, follow fashion. We should assume that just like us, they've had experiences
and they know
that this is what I see here can very much be the order of the day unless I rise up and do something about it. So I said, not tongue in cheek, but I'm more like with hope in my heart that maybe the disappearance of this lady will be Jamaica's George Floyd experience.
Will be a trigger, will be a kairos moment, will be a return to true humanity, a tipping point. Yeah, for us, because let me tell you something. You can be doing something every day that it becomes a job, and when your humanity, in terms of your ability to feel, to care, to have compassion, goes away from you.
You become subhuman.
Yeah.
You become the thing that other people call us, subhuman. And my niece was saying to me, she saw somewhere too where persons were saying it's because she's a brown girl. If she was just a regular dark girl, you wouldn't. And I'm, you start to say, but no, it's because people love her. She have people who love her. And they say, come, join with me. We need more for this child. I don't see her coloring as even being a factor, but there are Jamaicans looking at it and picking it apart and saying, oh, well, if she was a girl from wherever, I don't know where she's from actually, or maybe even if I've seen it, but it doesn't matter where she's from. She's a person for whom an account must be given. And you know what? You think the prime ministers know that they are stewards of the people in this country and that there will come a day when they have to account for the 3 million of us? And that there's somebody who's gonna say, is gonna call a name and say, maybe they'll say, Minett Lawrence. Might say, Minett Lawrence, what happened to her? And they'll be head scratching because they can't give account.
Every one of us have
to give account for what is put in our care. And God help you if it's a whole nation of people. You need to keep track of them. People want to take the job.
So your policies are so important.
Absolutely.
And what your policies is founded upon. You spoke about the philosophical basis of leadership.
Yes, man, the philosophical assumptions
of leadership.
when we get to, that inform educational policy in Jamaica.
And I can tell everybody, I can have to write a paper for it, the integration of spirituality and all of that. What is my philosophical basis for ministry? And I had to grapple with that. Is it that I truly believe that
one of your callers asked you?
Yeah, if do I truly believe that every single person is created in the image and likeness of God, even though some of us have strayed, but ultimately that is where it starts. Because if you begin with that, it helps you in terms of how you do your work. Some of the times I can tell me frustrated with some of the people that I have to deal with day in day out. Like they say, oh, so and so is here to see you again, and I say, oh no, not again. But then the Spirit gently reminds and says, no, but they've been created. Right, image and likeness. And I'm giving you the grace. We spoke about grace. I'm giving you the grace. So some of the time, my simple prayer is, give me the grace, give me the grace, give me the grace, Father. And I just...
All right, I have another question for you. Kev Max says, good morning, good rising TMC, Mrs. Lawrence. Can you explain what is a scarcity complex?
Oh, that's easy.
I referred to it. I referred to it in an earlier part where
the way you think, and it's a simple thing. If you operate from a scarcity mindset, which means that there's only enough for me, and therefore I must get as much as I want, then I'm not thinking about the other person. But if you operate from a mindset of abundance, there's enough for all of us to go around. So I'm not selfish in terms of how I deal with things. That's my simple explanation of it.
yes.
Yeah.
The to flesh it out a bit more, you would, because it is it's both in terms of, it exists in terms of your view of the world and the insufficiency of things, but it also becomes personal with you becoming also preoccupied that you are not enough.
Not enough?
Yes, so that there
the other things to make you more,
and you need more because you, when you spoke of it initially, you focused on the selfish side of it, thinking that there isn't enough for everybody, so I have to keep. But there is also the concern that I am not enough, and I need things to make me complete or to fulfill me. So there's a scarce. There is some reality to it as well when you consider that there is a finite amount of things at different times and in different contexts.
But if you operate from a basis that the God of the universe is infinite,
right,
to plug into Him, then you shift your mindset.
Absolutely, because it's very much an attitude and a perspective of the mind. It is not, it's you believing it to be so. It is not the fact that it is actually so.
Generosity. So somebody was commenting on, I think I sent it to you, about world hunger. You remember that? The lady, the Indian lady.
The Indian lady with the British accent.
Yes, who was talking about
monoculture.
Yeah, and what it means and what it is doing to us in terms of people saying there's hunger. She said, no, we have created that by the way we practice agriculture and food security, and ultimately it has led to that. But if you think of, remember the Africa thing, the man says, can you come and the person was relating the stories of Africa to us about they got to this place and he asks about the land and people watching him, and then the gentleman come and said to him, we see what you've done. Can you come and do the same thing for us? In terms of there's enough land, there is enough land.
And let me just share a little bit more. Taki is expressing his own condolences to Professor Paul Golding and says he knew him very well from childhood days. So if you to Taki, if you have a subscription of the Jamaica Gleaner, you will see, is it the Gleaner he writes in or the Observer? I think it's the Observer. He writes quite frequently in the local papers, and he has an email address there. If you want to rekindle the contact, he can be found. Just look for any of his publications, you'll see how to reach him. And the funeral is going to be streamed live. Percival is reminding us. So I think, let me tell you, this is when you know what it means to be human. Expresses of condolence, expressing condolence and sharing in grief and so on has its value, and I know he would appreciate he would appreciate renewing that contact. Agro Valley Farm says, Miss Lawrence, class prejudice and colorism is still a reality in Jamaica.
We know that.
Well, I've been contemplating it a little bit because I've gone to, well, for sure, class prejudice, because I've seen people who look the same behave in the same way towards each other on using different types of imagined points of distinction. Yes, when you see poor black people treating other poor black people the same way white people treat black people or different ethnic, and then you say, okay, so it's not racism. What is it? And we come back. Well, we know it can be based on class, but you and I ultimately know that it comes from an impure heart that is not seeking to assume a certain walk of holiness and purity. That's what it comes down to for me. Because I don't know of too many situations in which color determines, meaning color or ethnicity, or even, status, social status, would determine my behavior. More likely than not, in the days when I was way less anointed than now, I would move in the opposite direction. Which even the Bible speak about, the Bible say you shouldn't show preference.
Because you're a lawyer going on the team. No, I'm just saying.
Oh.
You say in your former days. I'm just trying to.
Oh no, not nothing to do with my profession. Just my own, the evolution of my personality and my consciousness. So there was a time when if everybody flocked towards that side because it is popular, I head to the other side. I would just be naturally, because I would say, well, if everybody's doing it, it can't be for me.
Oh my Lord.
No, that might be a reflection of my lack of a scarcity complex. But I usually move in that way. But the scripture speaks against even that. Don't show overwhelming preference for the poor because they are poor. Justice does not relate to those issues of differences. Justice sits inside of the actual situation and mediates for the right result for both sides. So I might, if you're prone to say, all right, true and poor, give him a blind. No, you don't get no blind, you wrong.
Yes, that's true.
And then again, you have the person who said, but that's a wealthy, good man. How him could I in this mess? Make we help him.
No.
That wrong too.
That is what it is speaking about. So look at the truth of the situation and judge it based on
and respond to it.
Yeah.
I know that in days when I understood that with less clarity, I would have been one who said, no man, this man need a break. Give him a break because he hasn't had too many. Now some might say that is mercy, and then sure it is mercy. But if I do it in the wrong situation where it's just a con man and a scam who has
operate the system,
who plays the system, then I would be in error.
It's like this gentleman who was accused of stealing a hand of banana. We've heard that one, and he goes into court. And the judge is saying, no, him can't have stolen the banana. He had 1 foot. And the judge says, all right, sir, I'll let you go. You can go. The man just find a way, flip the banana up and just walk out of the place.
With the banana.
With the banana over his shoulder. Judge was saying, no, man, allow not tell upon him. Say him steal the banana. So he goes into the courtroom with a hand of banana. Bunch of banana, and he's 1 footed, and him said, judge said, no, he's handicapped. There's no way, and one-handed, there's no way that he could have stolen this bunch of banana. And the judge says, no, I'm lying to telling on the man. They say, you can't go now, sir. And the man you can take the banana and just flip it up on him and walk out of the thing. So no, I'm going to lock him up.
So that is about an unwise judge?
An unwise judge, but because the man, he was handicapped and so on, was saying, no, there's no way.
But that was a judge coming to a conclusion without evidence, based on his own assumption. Many things could be said about that. Agro Valley Farm has suggested a definition of scarcity complex, which is a part of it, but very limited. He says scarcity complex is a behavior displayed by people who generally come from a background when there was a lack of material things to meet their basic needs. Most of the people who display scarcity complex are rich people who don't have hand to deal with what they have. So no, sir, that is not scarcity complex. Persons who come from a background of poverty can display signs of it, but that is not what it is. How do I put it now?
I have found, this is my experience. I've gone to minister in rural communities. And he says, we're going to minister. But you know, and you go and you say, these people don't have much. When you are leaving the minister, they are so generous. I say, Pastor, we might not have the money to pay you, give you an honorarium. And you leave with yam banana food because it is an attitude of the heart. This is what we're talking about. It is an attitude of the heart.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was not an expectation. I'm just going to minister. And when you're leaving, you're overwhelmed by the simple generosity of the persons. And again, another story, this is true. This lady, she come from a rural community, and her parents had died. And it's a poor farming community, as we would say in Jamaica. But you know, she was surprised because they deal with things because they have relatives overseas. And she said they were so surprised as a family. They said, we don't have much as a community. They took up a special offering to assist income. And when she saw it, she started to cry. That she could not believe what those simple, ordinary folk did, because it is an attitude of the heart. I remember too, personally, as children, we were a family of 7, and somebody would come and say, Miss Palmer, we don't have no food today, but you know it. And mom would say, okay, this is what we have. And we are complaining as children, you know. And she would share.
Yes, because you had the scarcity complex. You feel there's not enough. Yeah. And if somebody gets from your pot, there will be less for you.
Yeah. And we need to return to that, a spirit of generosity.
Right.
That believe that there is more than enough. And if I have that, I said it before, my faith tells me that if I have one bread and my brother come and him not have no bread to cut the bread in half, that it can get that he can eat today.
You know, I'm just like delving a little deeper into it because I see what Agro Valley Farm said. And you're right, it is an attitude and a belief system that causes persons to see limitation and lack where they should see abundance and infinite possibilities. And not to it right that alongside it is fear.
Fear that drives
because if I have 2 mangoes right now, and I do love mangoes, and those mangoes are particularly delicious. But if someone comes along who wants a mango, there's nothing in my spirit that says my having only 1 mango represents lack or it's not enough. I've had many of these mangoes. My delight in sharing it and introducing someone else to this delicious fruit would cancel out any regret that I have to share. But you really do have persons who are fearful that if they give us something, what they have left is not enough. Or, I mean, I've certainly been in situations where I've had to give what I had and do without. Let me tell you, if you are a mother and you cook, the first thing you must learn is that the chef eats last.
Yeah, that's first to eat.
You know that too, because you cook, though you're not a mother.
I'm not a mother, I'm a father.
But if you are responsible for meal preparation, your first duty is to ensure that all the persons for whom you're cooking get a proper portion, and you will watch yours diminishing when you realize, oh, that not enough, that not enough, that not enough. So you know, when I see fat cooks, I'm just being funny. If you are focused on making sure that those for whom you are caring or providing get enough, when it gets to a point where it comes from your portion, at which point I say, you know, Minett, you really could lose 10 pounds. This will be a contribution.
She said, me said, people. I'm learning, right, Mr. Producer?
I don't know. That comment there sound like you get a thumbs up from the. All right, so when we come back, we're going to be speaking with Dr. Kenyu Thompson, and let me tell you too that we have other guests lined up. Congo Billy, master drummer on the Congos, brother to the producer, has very kindly consented to provide some sound and music for us as we close out the week. He's going to arrive here somewhere around 8, and we'll get him set up. And our sister Maxine Stowe is supposed to join us. We've spent a lot of time with her in the year behind us. We celebrated Reggae Month. That was February. Then Rasta Month was what, April? However it has gone, we have spent a lot of time with her, and we felt that and we've been educated a lot on some issues. And I found a sister and a fellow warrior on some critical issues that I'm pleased to have made her acquaintance. So she too has agreed to just pop by and spend some time with us on this last Thursday. Well, it would be last Thursday in July. Absolutely, yeah. So that's the lineup for this morning. We're gonna have at least 3 persons sharing with us. The first of whom is Dr. Kenny Thompson. I felt we would put the intellectual, academic, policy man. Yeah, but we put him in. We start with that. And then we can end with some music. And for those who were with us last week and saw the children in the background, just know that summer camp is still in full swing, and you can hear the kids warming up in the background, which on this particular day is music to my ears. When I came by here at 3:00, thereabouts, close to 3 yesterday, I had a meeting here. I had to run for cover. If you know a swarm of kids, it was a swarm of kids. They were everywhere.
You had to literally run?
Yes. They had to move me. They had to give me a private meeting room. They had, let me tell you, it was... They were everywhere and they were making noise. It sounded like schoolyard. There's a noise that traumatizes me to this day.
What's that?
Schoolyard. I cannot hear it. It's right next to football match noise.
All right.
It caused something in my spirit to tremble.
My Lord.
Yes, I need deliverance. All right, let's take our break, and when we come back, just enjoy a chat with Dr. Thompson.
Best FM, inspire me. Best FM, Best FM.
Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. British defence and intelligence officials say a Ukrainian counter-offensive has virtually cut off the Russian-occupied southern city of Kherson, leaving thousands of Russian troops stationed near the Dnipro River highly vulnerable. Britain's defence ministry also said Ukrainian forces had probably established a bridgehead south of the Inulets River and had used precision HIMARS artillery to damage at least 3 of the bridges crossing the Dnipro. Paul Adams is in Kyiv.
Kherson was one of the first cities captured by the Russians at the beginning of March. It fell without a fight, a significant prize for Moscow. Russia wants to annex the whole area. It's spoken about holding a referendum, but now Ukraine seems determined to take it back.
In a rare admission of a successful Russian attack on a military target, Ukraine says Moscow's forces have struck a base north of the capital, Kyiv. A senior military official said 6 cruise missiles hit the Lyutizh base, destroying 1 building and damaging 2 others. He said there were losses among Ukrainian troops. The Chinese government is stepping in to bail out the country's floundering property sector, promising it will support near-bankrupt developers so they can finish building homes they've already sold. The pledge comes in response to scores of ordinary citizens across China who are refusing to repay home loans. Celia Hatton reports.
Some of China's biggest developers are also some of the world's most debt-ridden companies. Property giant Evergrande, for example, is saddled with almost $300 billion in debt, leading to scores of unfinished projects and lots of angry homebuyers. In a brief statement, the Politburo promised to stabilize the property market. The details of the bailout are unclear, although economists have cautioned against giving money directly to China's over-leveraged property developers.
Licensing rights for 27 oil and gas blocks in the Democratic Republic of Congo are going up for auction, opening parts of the world's second biggest rainforest to drilling. Here's Richard Hamilton.
Researchers say drilling in the Congo Basin could release nearly 6 billion tonnes of carbon, more than 14% of the world's total greenhouse gas emissions last year. Greenpeace has described the exploitation of the peatlands in the rainforest as the explosion of a carbon bomb and an environmental catastrophe. The government in Kinshasa says it will hold oil developers to high environmental standards, but that its priority is accessing revenue for schools, hospitals and infrastructure in one of the world's poorest countries.
It accuses richer governments, which have powered their development with fossil fuels, of hypocrisy. World News from the BBC. The White House says President Biden will speak to the Chinese leader Xi Jinping shortly. In a statement, it said it will be the 5th time the two leaders have spoken since President Biden took office. They're expected to discuss Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which China has yet to condemn, economic competition and tensions over Taiwan. The diplomatic rhetoric has sharpened since it was announced the US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was considering a visit to Taiwan. There's been further international condemnation of the recent executions in Myanmar, including of two high-profile pro-democracy figures. The G7 said the executions and lack of fair trials showed the military's contempt for the democratic aspirations of the people of Myanmar. Australians are watching the final episode of Neighbours, the country's longest-running soap opera, which is coming to an end after 37 years. The lives and loves of residents of Ramsay Street in a fictional suburb of Melbourne also attracted big audiences in other countries, particularly Britain. Shaima Khalil is on the set.
It actually feels surreal to be here because you expect the characters to come out like they did on the title. It's been the go-to TV show for generations of fans, and today they say goodbye to a show that they've followed for decades. The finale is a closely guarded secret, but we did speak to the executive producer and he said, look, don't expect any drama or destruction. It's going to be like a big group hug for the fans.
The four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel says he'll retire from Formula One at the end of the season. Vettel, who's 35, started his F1 career in 2007 and enjoyed his best years with Red Bull, winning 4 consecutive titles with them from 2010. The German driver is currently racing with Aston Martin and is 12th in the championship.
People, are you listening? If you choose to remain at home after an evacuation order has been issued, you do so at your own risk. Get down! Get down!
Heed the warning! The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minett and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Bess100 FM.
You're listening to Best FM, the people's best friend.
Are you stressed? Are you faced with trauma? Well, this is the program for you. Join Royton McLaren for youth resilience and empowerment every Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. on Best 100.5 FM.
Bess100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
And you will be eligible to earn cash prizes starting at $10,000 for third place, $20,000 for second place, and first place prize of $50,000. And there's more! Free medicals for all students returning to school this September. Don't miss this opportunity to give blood and save lives.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. Again, let me remind you, we are here live at the Ligony Club, one of my favorite places in the city of Kingston. A very beautiful, it's like an oasis in the desert. When you're here, you don't think that it is a concrete jungle or a crowded city. You can see how spacious and green and beautiful it is. And we're grateful that Ligony Club has consented to our doing this here on Thursday mornings. And then to complement our time here, we are fed and watered. Well, not this morning, we haven't been watered, but we are taken care of by JD's Urban Pub. JD's Urban Pub might well be under pressure by with the catering to the needs of the many children who are here for the camp. But good morning, Dr. Thompson. You're on the Morning Connection now. Thank you for
good morning.
Good morning. You're not hearing us?
You're not stop?
I'm not hearing you. You need to come and call again.
Okay, just bear with us for a moment. The adjustments are being made.
Okay, so that will not stop.
Yes, well, in the meantime, I will give you just an indication of how many awards this professional and author and social activist has earned from 2000. In 2008, he received high commendation for his PhD dissertation. In 2008, again, he was the most outstanding thesis for academic year, School of Education, UWI. So he is a UWI graduate. In 2019, he received the Principal's Award for the best publication of an article. In 2020, Principal's Award again, most outstanding researcher. And in 2020, Principal's Award, best publication book category. 2021, he was a finalist for the Vice Chancellor's Award for Excellence, all-round outstanding performance. So this is, you say he's a what do you call the personality type? A? Yes. A type A? You want to diagnose him while we're making the connection?
I'm not there yet, but
yeah.
I'm beginning to speak. But he really has written a lot of good stuff. I've read some of his articles.
All right. Dr.
paper.
Thompson, let's try again to see if we're hearing each other. Good morning, Dr. Thompson.
Good morning. And the thing is
good morning.
Morning, Doc. Morning, Doc. You hearing us? What I like about his writing is that he's not writing esoterically. He's writing in terms of real solutions that we need to have in terms of problems. So even in terms of the one that caught my attention, philosophical basis.
We're trying to perfect the connection with Dr. Thompson. All right, all right, we'll try again.
Just bear with me.
I do like his writing. Even in his articles, he writes with a very personal tone.
Yes.
So it's, as you say, it's not esoteric. It's not just academic. It's very relatable.
Application.
He applies it to. Yeah. And he has a very active social media presence as well. Commenting in a timely manner on what's happening. And I really do want to hear him. May I try again? Dr. Thompson, can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Hello. No, it's not.
It's not happening.
Signs of life. Dr. Thompson, are you hearing us?
Hearing it. But,
I heard that sound. Yeah, I heard. Hello? For some reason, it's not happening.
But you know.
Yeah. All right, we'll just talk a little bit more. I can try now. Dr. Thompson? Dr. Thompson, good morning. We are trying to get the audio perfected. If you bear with us a little bit, but I'm certainly going to do my best to use, as we are speaking now, just to get it started. We were talking it up quite a bit, so all of your performances that your awards for excellent performance that are available online have been trotted out for the benefit of the listeners. I will say on your behalf that it's not too often that Jamaicans have the opportunity to hear one of their own who is distinguished both in academic performance as well as on the social activism side, is applying the textbook knowledge, so to speak, to real life events. And I recall when I met you for the first time, you said to me that it is the passion of yours and a mandate to speak truth to power. Can I ask you to just, in your own words, say for me what has been the motivation for you to be so vocal on matters that are deserving of public commentary?
There are too many people who are victims, despite their best efforts, of injustice, of waste of public resources, of blighted opportunities and possibilities. And it's a pull in a direction that says we can do better than what we're doing. As the Americans would like to describe themselves, we are better than this. So I grew up in a family of my parents had eight of us. My parents were very hardworking people. My father was a farmer. My mother was at various times a supervisor at a guest house, a cashier in a business, and a supervisor there. But my father believed and taught us that excellence was a possibility in every respect. And I think what is lacking in our society, or perhaps what is present in our society, is an easy satisfaction with mediocrity and a willingness to settle for less than the best. So politicians misuse public funds, and we say, well, that is something set, you know. So you live with it, you settle with it rather than fight to make it better. So I've been taught that excellence is a possibility, and I'm pursuing, to the degree I can, the creation of a consciousness, an expectation of excellence. You know, I work in the education system, as you know, and research has shown that one of the most critical factors in promoting and achieving student success is the communication of the expectation of excellence. When students are led to believe that you expect them to excel, that drives them to work harder. But if students are led to believe that it is okay just to get by, then they will just get by.
You know, you said something that has just, it just pricked my imagination. You mentioned the confidence that we are better than this. And I am curious, there are so many Jamaicans who feel that this is the best we can be. There are so, just now online, one of our listeners made a query about the scarcity complex. This belief that there's not enough, that or that I am not enough. Yet you, coming out of, I would say, ordinary Jamaican circumstances. Mine is no different from yours, Pastor Percival, no different from yours. I think most of the listeners can relate to your childhood, what your parents did, how they raised you. You have the belief that we're better than this. What fuels that belief?
It is to see what my father left school at age 11. Age 15, and was able, through a conviction, perhaps born of his own father's and mothers impetus and training, my father was able to become the largest farmer in South Manchester. He went on farm work on a couple of occasions between the 1940s and the 1960s.
So I have to ask you this now, so you can include it. Did he buy or inherit land? Because we've also had that issue too with land.
He bought a small portion, but he leased 100, 200 acres from the bauxite company.
Okay. Dr. Thompson, Percival Palmer here. We have crossed paths. We've seen each other, but you spoke about expectations of
excellence.
Expectations of excellence, but in terms of saying to our young people, doing that, I believe that is a very strong thing, because I've seen what that has done to young men, because I really specialize. So I'm in agreement to what you have said. You can elaborate some more in terms of expectations of our young people. What does that how is that communicated to our young people?
Because to whom I listened when I was a younger person, there's a guy named Les Brown. He's still around.
Yeah, still around. Yes.
Yes, and he made a statement in one of his speeches, perhaps quoting another motivation speaker, might have been Zig Ziglar, who said, "No one rises to low expectations." They talk about how you communicate to young people. I don't know if you've ever been in some of these inner city areas, and you'll hear the net dog.
Yes, man.
And by that, what he means is that he is as worthless and as good for nothing as you see him. He doesn't have much further going, all right? He's just a dog. And this is what has been inculcated to him, that he will not achieve much. He's not anything much. And so this is why many of these guys are willing to throw their lives away so easily.
Yeah.
To get involved in criminal activity, knowing full well that they're going to die shortly.
So it's a I have nothing to lose mentality.
It's a I have nothing to lose mentality. Rather than
I have everything to gain.
I have everything to gain. I have everything to gain. All right? And that young face will be compared with a youngster who will be up all night, who will work through hunger and hardship to make it, because they believe that it's possible. So you mentioned someone who earlier spoke of the
scarcity. I wanted you to go into that. Right. So I don't have to ask any questions. You're reading my mind.
Yes. The contrast to that, of course, is the abundance mentality.
Yes.
Which says that it is possible for me to become everything I can be. It is other people achieving greatness is not going to cost me or prevent me from achieving greatness.
It only motivates me.
It only motivates me. So what this scarcity mentality says is that there is very little to go around. I cannot share anything I have, because the list I have is only enough to sustain me.
Wow.
Now, there are harsh realities in which people have limited resources. But what the abundance mentality says is that I'm going to create possibilities to do well. So how will that belief in the capacity to do well and the possibility of succeeding? That's why I work hard. Now, there are painful stories of people who have done their hardest and have not made the progress that they would like to make.
Or that they deserve.
But one of the questions that we must often think that is how great a lesson can that person's life be to others? Because when you think that you're struggling, you'll be surprised to know the testimony that your own endurance and forbearance might be teaching to others. Yeah?
Well, you're speaking a bit of our language now, because we believe that you don't lose until you give up on the fight. And we also believe that every challenge is an opportunity to do something even greater. How is that? You've done some work on the philosophical assumptions which underpin policy in education. There is one assumption with which I have taken issue from the moment I heard of it, which is the assumption that we are to educate our children to become workers to be employed. Let's put it that way.
That's Orlando Patterson in terms of his preamble. That's what he said.
He recited it from the policy.
Yeah, right.
Government policy. I mean, I know Orlando would shudder to be if he were ever accused of creating that assumption.
What do you think?
So that's one assumption with which I take issue. Are there other assumptions that you might be able to share with us?
Sure. So there is the assumption that the resources in our budget, and this is a very incendiary assumption, but it exists. The resources available to us are not enough to create a quality education system. You won't see that articulated in a policy statement, but you will hear each year, government after government will say that we can't do much more than this, or we are doing comparably well in terms of what we allocate. So let's take the practical thing of the percentage of the budget, or the percentage of GDP which is available to the education sector. Typically about 13% of the budget each year goes to education. And we both that, it translates to about 5% of GDP. But 85% of that money goes into recurrent expenditure, right? Salaries and so on.
Mm-hmm.
The other 15% is what's available for the infrastructure development, for the program support, for the transformation of the education system. By comparison, we spend, so in real terms, spend about $2 billion each year on education infrastructure and program development, compared to about $20 billion we spend each year on national security infrastructure, bullets, guns, and other.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So the failings that we cause in the educational structure, we then pay for it later on in the security.
Education is prevention.
Could you at this point, because I like to relate the numbers to the results that yeah. So how would you reprioritize that spend? Because in another place we talk about ratios and how much of your budget should be on your overheads, your wages and salaries, and you're saying 85% gets spent on wages and salaries.
Correct. So what needs to happen therefore is that we need to literally move from 5% of GDP to somewhere in the region of 7% of GDP. That additional 2% is what we need to be spending on the transformation of our schools and classrooms, the upskilling of the training of our teachers, and the retrofitting of the physical plans of the education system. Now, let me give an example. We talk about the importance of collaborative learning, that children learn better when they learn together. Rather than children looking at the teacher in a classroom where the desks are bolted to the ground.
Yes, as the source of knowledge and drawing from that fixed source.
Precisely. Children sit around tables and work together. No, that can't happen in the spaces we have created.
That's true.
So if we're going to bring about that kind of change in the capacity of our students to think not only collaboratively, but think critically, which must precede collaborative thinking, we have to adjust how the classrooms are laid out. And part of the spend that now needs to take place on education is not When you look at the outcomes of places like Singapore and Finland and Denmark and Belgium and China, it is a function of the kind of spatial
environment. Yes. I want to insert a question here that might shift the focus a little bit, but it's in the same vein. I have, in looking at some of these issues, I have come up with a theory that there is still in us a fundamental disagreement with the value of our intrinsic abilities or what we come with. A child comes out of a farming community into a high school classroom, and there's the assumption that that child has nothing or very little of value in their head. And so when you put 20 children of such points of origin in a room, you make the assumption that there's nothing they can learn from each other, or they can't improve each other's development. I was thinking about it and somewhat concerned that unless we begin to revalue,
tap into what they bring to the table.
Absolutely, Pastor is completing it for me, then even if we redesign the environment, we are still going to be writing programs, setting problems, encouraging or discouraging discussions that feed from this native set of skills.
They don't bring anything of value to the table.
Yes.
So we have some freedom that one of the ways in education is to bring those students and bring back to their experience is for the curriculum to be funded in a way
yes.
that takes account of the reality of their context.
Absolutely.
The connection.
Realities are what we have. The curriculum is that with design by or to something removed from our context.
Okay.
Yes.
And then that curriculum is then becomes solid across the country, with little account of the differences of the peculiarities of the reality of the context of children to the important versus given as. Let me give an example. River training as an environmental sustainability activity is not taught in our curriculum.
Okay.
St. Mary and Portland
and some parts of St. Anne, yes.
Portland. Yeah.
Need to know how to care for their environment.
Yeah.
We have come upon a.
We got
teach greenhouse farming in our schools in South Manchester.
So this adaptability of the curriculum, is there recognition of it in the halls where decisions are made in the education? I want you to think about that a little bit for me, because we have to take a station break. It's going to be no more than 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and then please don't hang up. We'd like to come back to the conversation.
Live the life. Respect the music. And keep your radio locked in.
Bess100 FM.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
From anywhere at all, you can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Best FM. Dance and let's find me. Best FM. Best FM.
JPS spin and win. Get ready to spin and win enough niceness. Yes, when you go prepared with JPS, weekend for 2 shopping spree and more. Switch or sign up for prepaid for winnings galore. Go prepaid with JPS and top up with 120 kilowatt hours or more for a chance to win in the spin and win draw every month. Or you could be the grand prize winner of $2 million. So prepaid and done. Visit jpsco.com for more info. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Today's best music. The best mix of your light run favorites is on
Bess FM.
Bess100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minett and Percy, on the Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Bess100 FM.
Well, thank you for staying with us and welcome back to the Morning Connection. Our guest is Dr. Canute Thompson. What can we say that would adequately describe his fitness to be speaking on these issues this morning? Before we left, you were expressing your own views on my theory. My theory is not backed by any research. It's only backed by personal experience. You know, kind of going through life and seeing how little regard was had for whatever my thoughts, my experience, my analysis was as a child. Teachers want to be given back what they gave to you. And if you try to add anything to it, they ask you where you get it from.
Yeah, your experience. Yeah.
Not the teacher. But to a question is not what the teacher taught you, you get it wrong. You have to get it wrong.
Absolutely.
So belongs to the curriculum is so memory was emphasized over meaning, and the ability to recite was emphasized over reasoning. And the result of that, long term, is that many of our students leave school looking for a job in which they are simply following instruction, and rather than exploring and developing ideas, which they then said. Let me just share it in a practical way and then come back to the original point. What this translates for Jamaica. There's a measure that the United Nations use called the Global Innovation Index, and that particular index measures level, the extent to which a country is producing new and innovative ideas through products and services. Jamaica has a study comparing across the world from different regions. In this comparison among Algeria, Barbados, Trinidad, Denmark, New Zealand, and Singapore, Jamaica is the second lowest. At 29.
Who's lower than us?
23.
The French.
Most of the is Singapore 56, Denmark 57, China 53. Almost twice Jamaica in some cases. The other comparison to be made to make sense of that is the number of our students, the percentage of our students who attend tertiary education, tertiary institution. Jamaica's tertiary participation is at 27%, about a quarter. It's compared to a place like Denmark, which is 80%.
Wow.
Barbados, which is 65%, and Singapore 89%. Just give you some examples. So here's the point I'm making. Not only are we as a country failing to see the importance of tertiary education as a strategy for development, but many of our students, our students do not qualify. Consequence of that, our level of education in products and services is this low. Now that low level is also in part a function of our pedagogy, of how we teach. We teach students to repeat rather than teach students to reason. So critical thinking is not part of the curriculum. To your earlier point, it's instructive to know that the Education Act of 1965 contemplated that the principal of the school, this is 3 years after independence, right?
Yes.
Much would have changed between that time, 4.
And not much has changed up to today as well, might I add.
Right, indeed. But the principal school would develop the curriculum for students, taking account of the needs of the area
in which the school was located.
In which school was located. Concern about how you prepare students to become workers on the plantation.
Of course.
And workers
Yes.
in the
That is an inevitable conclusion, Dr. Thompson.
Right. But if we were to take that principle forward now and say, should the principal at Rockabetta High School
Develop a curriculum based on the local economy.
Then we could see a blossoming of the fishing industry, where we not only see people catching fish and selling them, but we see services of fillet, of skin, of parrots,
of bones. And I take your point completely, and I hope others have as well. But I want to go back to that study because a number of things immediately came to mind. One is, of course, when strangers study us, the results are always different from what you would see if we had the opportunity and the skill to study ourselves. So I'm immediately concerned about those biases. The second is I notice, well, I took note that the low score was linked umbilically to the low numbers in tertiary education. But I want to take you in a direction concerning culture. To me, the greatest evidence of a man's ability is the fact of his survival. Especially his survival free from civil war and certain atrocities which typically befall a country where things have fallen apart to the extent that they have in Jamaica. When you look at the level of public corruption, crime and violence, mistrust of authority figures, and so on, it tells me that there is a great deal of innovation taking place in certain quarters that are not measured. And we talk about the two Jamaicas and the informal economy and so on, and what it is that keeps Jamaica away from where Haiti is, for example. Have I provoked any responses in your mind with those comments? Yes.
Is his survival or his ability to survive. I want to ponder that some more because
you like it or you don't like it?
What is survival? Is survival merely staying alive? Or
oh no, we believe in abundant life. Let me put that. We
believe in abundant life.
So it's certain words of thought.
Yes.
And the degrees to which people survive.
Yes.
And the question becomes, how do you what measure do you use to say this person is surviving versus that person is surviving? Because why? That's one. But I agree with you also on the question. No, I agree with you on the question that how we measure innovation may not, or how it's measured globally, may not sufficiently take into account the nuances and peculiarities and the things that fall outside the kind of normal curve. All right? I saw a man the other day, it's a guy who is
he's disabled. Oh, I tell you, you need to stop reading my mind.
Yeah.
That is who came to mind.
And what he has done.
What he created for mobility.
I'm not sure to what extent initiatives, innovations like those get
yes.
I would say though, that lone man doing that, or
two or three of him wouldn't shift the needle.
Wouldn't shift the needle. There would have to be so part of the challenge we have as a country is how we scale our intervention.
Yes.
So having seen that, man, there should be a mechanism, whether it's whatever that business development entity named just now, there should be some mechanism where he is given support to create solutions of that kind on a scale that would make it
that would have impact. That would have impact.
Right.
So, speak about the fact that there are 400,000 disabled members of the persons who are members of the disabled community who can't find jobs.
Doc, one quick question. Is it that in our dealings and our workings out, that Jamaica, just to highlight what Minett has said, we are a country of samples that cannot be scaled up, because I think that's what you're referring to. That's
absolutely the case.
And I think that is one of the challenges we have. But I want to, because leadership.
You want to shift the leadership.
I want to shift the leadership because that is a focus that you have had. I've read a lot of your articles. Where does leadership, what's the role that leadership plays in all of what is happening in terms of?
So we have these incidents which highlight certain possibilities. What would be required is that whether it is the minister or some other senior technical person in the Ministry of Social Security, there needs to be the creation of a framework that would allow for us to tap those opportunities. That gentleman, use that gentleman as an example, is hardly different than a Shelley appraiser who is this brilliant athlete. And we have built out this sports industry, or we are building out. There's much more we can do based on the potential of these few people. So what leadership would bring is the vision of the possible, the advocacy to create that possible, where that leadership is endowed with the power of office and the power of the public purse to allocate the resources in an equitable and transparent way to support the creation of opportunities. So here in this pandemic period, we see that government has decided, for example, to allocate a couple more $1 billion to provide welfare assistance to certain needy categories of individuals. What visionary leadership would do, on the contrary, is to conceive of ways in which you can be supporting small and medium-sized industries.
Of course.
Entrepreneurial.
Teach people to fish. Teach them to fish.
Remember when we're small, we talk about cottage industries.
Yes.
Where are we in providing, or in a regulated manner, because we don't want to turn residential areas into shops and barber shops and other
small home-based businesses. But
how do we promote home-based entrepreneurship and allow people to empower themselves? But there is an interest that politicians have in maintaining the status quo of dependency, because it is from that dependent population that they can guarantee getting the votes
and
to remain power.
And maintaining power. We're fast coming to the close and of the conversation. Well, I want you at table with us.
Yeah,
this is a poor substitute for your presence, but we're making do with it because we so wanted to talk to you and to have our listeners, hear that there are thinkers and thought leaders in Jamaica that can give us a ray of hope. So I really do thank you for sharing with us this morning. We are doing a series. This is the second year we have just entered the second year, like day one of the second year, with Percival and myself handling this program. And we are doing a series which I have called The Wealth of Culture and the Culture of Wealth. I'm looking at all that is happening around us, and I'm seeing that the reignition that the government is talking about for the independence needs to fire up our imagination and our spirit so that we begin to innovate and to express ourselves in a way that moves us into the future. I would very much like for you to share with me, speak with us again, to look at those issues, especially because I've asked you some questions about the intrinsic value of our native experiences, which is all about culture, and the ways in which we can leverage that to improve learning and then ultimately innovation and output. So I thank you. If there's any one thing you would like to say to our listeners before you go, this is your opportunity, would you say?
It's really one thing to you both to commend you on purposing your passion in this very powerful and productive way through the creation of this program. I want to commend you and wish you all the best for a long-term undertaking to contribute to the transformation of Jamaica.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day in your country home.
Yes.
Thank you.
Keep the gentleman alone.
I'm just envious.
He's living in his wealth.
All right, thank you.
Listen, Doc, thank you very much.
Wow. So that was Jamaica's very own Kenu Thompson. Check him up online. He is he's a distinctive author, and he is very much in the realm of social activism, and he's a leader in his area of research, and I really look forward to speaking to him again. What about you, Percival?
Yeah, man. You see, he shares our heart. He understands where we are at and where we need to go.
Yeah.
And I've always, he writes in the Observer.
Yes.
Sometimes I've seen him in the Gleaner, but I've always read his article, and he's been very clear and focused in terms of his response and giving real answers to issues. So it's
like how you're giving me such a real answer now while I'm trying to get ready to welcome. We gotta welcome our guests now.
We welcome.
You can give me the rest of the answer afterwards. Okay. All right. So we have two rather exciting guests in the house. You see the big drums. The drums are a personality all their own. So I want to have Maxine at table with us. So maybe we have to put the drums a little further to the behind us because the camera will get it. Yes, that's okay. So Maxine can join us because. All right, good. So Maxine is here and Congo Billy is here. And we don't want to lose Congo Billy to his fans, one of whom already came to greet him. Let me see where we are. Yes.
How this lady going?
Yeah. Yes, man.
The queen comes.
Right. So.
Queen Maxine, hello.
Yes. All right, Maxine, welcome. Yes, we are. Yes, we're on. You have spent most of the first year with us. When I look at it, well, a good part of the last 6 months. Yes, because we started the program in July, and you first joined us, I think, in February for Reggae Month,
she
and then
before that actually.
She came before.
Yeah, man. We had come before one, and then we said come back, and then we had the feature. That was Yes, right. Yeah.
It was Reggae Month and then Rasta Month.
That's what we say, yeah, man.
Yes, and then
on and on.
Yeah. Are we hearing Maxine on her microphone? Are we hearing Maxine's microphone? Just making sure that all is well.
I will still come up onto the break again.
Yes, but not before we
Bongo.
Yeah.
Congo. Stop now.
All right, so Maxine
Congo.
is our anniversary treat. So I'm glad you came colorfully attired. We didn't want to acknowledge the passing of the year without you at table with us. So welcome again.
Well, give thanks for having me, and congratulating you with my present.
Thank you. Thank you, Empress.
Right, and just looking forward to the communications and the advice going out to the people. Listening to the program this morning again, the Professor
Golding, yes,
right.
Yeah.
I was minded when I woke up to say that we ought to understand that the nation is a corporation, and that we are shareholders, and that somehow, we need to educate ourselves to know that we're running a business.
Yes, Pastor Percival spoke about Project Jamaica.
Right.
Yeah.
But before it was more that we're owned by the capital.
We were stock.
Right.
Yeah, we were the stock.
Right.
But now you're saying
we have to,
we're owners.
We're owners and we have to act as if we have a corporate duty, regardless of, it may seem that we don't have any money, but we have
That's
shares.
True. And in a world of infinite possibilities, we can build value.
Right. And I think, as the professor was saying, if we look at ourselves with value in that, then we act differently.
We will act differently.
Based on our pocket.
I am looking at a man with great value.
The consciousness raises to another level, Maxim, and I agree with you. If you are conscious that it's a fear business, you act differently.
All right, I want to introduce Billy so that people don't think he's a statue. Or Lowell with hair. Yes, there is great resemblance because that's Lowell's big brother. Congo Billy, welcome.
Listen.
Can we hear his voice, or the microphone is only for the drums?
Yeah, blessed morning to all, and we give thanks for this day, and glad to be here celebrating with
You can say Minett and Lowell.
Yeah, but Bess FM.
Bess FM.
I greet everyone,
So, you are, when I told Billy that it's been a year, he says, "What? Where's my shirt?" I'm like, listener number one, because really of a fact, we say tongue in cheek that family don't really listen to the program, but Billy,
sorry, religiously.
My wife too.
So all right,
yes,
the numbers have increased.
No, man.
We have two.
That I can go, man. My son can say to me, "You said this, and this."
Yeah, yes.
Okay, son. All right.
Oh, so 3.
Yeah.
All right, we're doing good. Yeah, so the celebration without the drums speaking, and the drums are such a big part of the ancestral heritage, and how we communicate emotions and how we build spirit and vibe. That the Morning Connection brought percussionist extraordinaire, professionally known Congo Billy. Yes, if I call out his real name, I don't think anybody would recognize it.
So tell us, educate us, what is his real name? I know it is
Bongo Billy, like how you're Bongo Percy.
No,
that's the real name.
Bongo Percy Palmer.
He's Mr. Lawrence to you.
Congo Billy Lawrence.
Congo Billy Lawrence.
Yeah.
Right, that is the new name. That's the real name, the name that carries his talent, his personality. Thank you, Congo Billy. I'm not sure how you're going to celebrate with us. It's entirely up to you.
Well, I'm going to celebrate with my hands. I speak better. I think I'll talk better now with my hands.
All right.
Okay, sir.
So I'll play
Going to the
like
break with some Congo.
2 Jamaican rhythms, because
Yeah.
since it's Jamaica
60 as well.
Yeah, I'll play 2 Jamaican rhythms and like 1 Cuban rhythm.
All right, excellent.
Yeah. So I'll make it short, or do you want me to wait until the break, or should
Just beat into the break. Beat to the break.
Oh, so you want? Well, you know what? In all the time, I've known Billy for 16 years. No, more than that, because it took us. Yeah, we're married 2 years. So I've known Billy for 18 years then, and I've never really plumbed the depth of his experience. I know that he is big brother to Lowell, and that he is greatly loved by all, especially his little brother. Don't stop talking about the what is it, the pants lengths. He remembers. So yes, so you are if nothing else a family man, and your family has a lot of talent. So leaving out Lowell, give me a little bit about Congo Billy.
About Congo Billy?
Yes. And your world in the arts. You know what? Because we talk about the wealth of culture, that has been your industry.
Right after the break, as we
got into the break already? Yes. You started as a dancer, didn't you?
Yes.
I wasn't accusing you.
No, but
and pantomime.
But too much things.
Oh, but what drew a young man in the 70s into dancing?
No, because they were
after the break.
All right. Okay. I've been persuaded. After the break. Stay with us, please.
Difference you can hear, a difference you can feel.
Bess FM, keep listening.
You good? You can get better. Spread the word. Straight Up gets better on Bess FM. Straight Up Jerry Small, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays on Bess100 FM. 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Jerry Small. The numbers are 279-8473, 279-8473, and 619-1508. 619-1508. Also streaming live on the internet. Bess FM, Straight Up, Robin Jerry Small.
If you have to feel it,
You got to be clean. You got to make it straight. You can't be lean. Share the joys togetherness can bring. To the true soul, you just have to cling, and then you will feel it, feel it, feel. You feel the soul inside of you.
Let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, and lies prefer to truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Don, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith that God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record Label at Gmail. Almighty Jah!
Mind-boggling radio. It's Bess100 FM. Warning, warning. When there is a hurricane warning, button don't, tie don't, everything. Lift appliances and furniture off the ground and secure your valuable items. If you wanna boat, secure it on land and turn on your yard if you a fisherman. Make sure you turn off every breaker, and before you sleep, turn off your generator. Flooding, that is a real danger. If you live a gully bank, river bank, or low line area, if you see flood waters are rising, get out, get out. Heed the warning. If your land starts slipping and sliding, get out, get out. Heed the warning. Hurricanes gonna happen, so be prepared.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Bess100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
Let I listen to Bess FM.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. We have in house with us at table Sister Maxine Stowe, celebrating our 1-year anniversary, and even more wonderfully behind us, with the drums have their own personality. They're almost as big as Billy, the Congos, and the master drummer Congo Billy, whom I asked just before we left, what was it that let a young man in the 70s start a career in dancing?
A career in the creative arts.
Well,
yes.
We were in Spanish Town, Sunnyside.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a kind, well, we grew up tough, you know, so, but I was not one who liked to stay idle. I have a lot of friends, some of them were idle friends, and I didn't want to get involved with those kind of people. Although we were involved at some stage.
Yes.
So I took up karate first.
Mm-hmm.
So I was good at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, from that,
it seemed a natural flow.
Yes.
From karate
to dancing.
Into dancing.
So that Jackie guy, Oliver Salmon, and Marjorie Wiley came to Spanish Town, and they formed a group called the Cultural Theatre of Spanish Town. That's how I got involved in the theatre.
Right.
So that's where the dancing started. And then I see the man, I play drum, and I love drum.
Mm-hmm.
So I just get involved with the drum at the same time. So I gradually move from that until I end up in NDTC, playing for NDTC, playing up by university. for the dancers, I also teach dancing as well.
Well.
Yeah, man. But I prefer music.
Yes.
So from there, everything evolved.
Yeah.
I moved away from the dancing. I went into reggae music, to playing reggae music. So I started playing with bands. You know? So Jimmy Cliff,
of all
Taurus
the
Riley.
greats you have played with.
Jimmy Cliff, Taurus Riley, Luciano. Do stints with Toots. A little stint with Third World at one stage, not for long. Dean Fraser, my brother.
That's your brother.
I'm a brother, that man. He was the one, him and Glenn Brownie. They were the one that drew me into the music. I guess they saw the talent.
I saw you perform in London, might I say that?
Yeah, man. So that's how it started, and then, you know, the rest is history.
Because you've basically traveled the world.
Yes, man. 4 continents.
So, have you been to Japan?
Yeah. Been to Japan about 3 times.
What? And we Lowell. But you could follow your brother.
Oh, wow.
You followed him in other things.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking forward to. Yeah. So,
man.
what's on the calendar for you? Are you gonna resume touring?
Well,
after the pandemic.
After the pandemic, mash up everything. But I mean, at the stage of my life now, not that I wouldn't tour again, but I kind of.
Nothing too.
Yeah, I'm not really into that much again. I'll do it if I have to.
Yeah.
Not as much as back in the days, because it can be very tedious.
So our engineer has fallen in love with 1 or 2 of your songs. How are you gonna spend some time, more time in studio or at the microphone? How's the singing part of the career going?
Well, that is concerned, as you know. We make the music, we put it out there. Some radio stations play it, some don't play it. They get it, you know.
Yeah.
But they don't play it. You know, because I mean, that help.
Oh, so that's still very much going on in the industry?
Yeah, yes. Because when I made the album, you know, Variety, the Spice of Life, that's the name of my album.
Yes.
And I went out there, drive all boat, and
getting it into
my thing for them play it, but some of them just never ever played it. You know, so therefore I didn't get that push that I was looking for. Yeah.
You need a master manager like Maxine.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if you can impress her with your drumming.
Yeah, well.
Who knows? This might be an interesting morning for you.
Yeah, I know.
So your legacy, so you have somebody that you're training on to play the drum, passing on the knowledge that you have gained.
Yeah, well, I train whoever want to learn.
Pastor, you want
to learn? Because there were some little youths who their parents usually bring them to me at home too.
Yes.
Yeah, man. And
I remember you gave
so whoever is willing to learn,
drum.
No problem, they can just.
So throw that out.
Yeah, man.
Something, the gift that you have and the reputation that you have, your greatest legacy, I believe, will be in your apprentice.
Passing it on.
Yes. Yeah, man, and I love doing that. So as long as someone is willing to learn,
all right,
no problem.
Man, willing to teach. So what's the first? You taught me, you told me what I'm to call it. No, I said, what's the first? I said, like the first music, and he says, you mean the first? What did you say? Beat?
The first music.
I said,
no, you're talking about drumming or
drumming. Yes, drumming.
Oh, so I said I was gonna play 2 Jamaican rhythms and 1 Cuban rhythm. So the first one will be Brookings, and then Mentor. Everybody know Mentor. And then a rhythm called Wawanko from Cuba.
All right. So, all right. Brookings, you told me what is the celebratory dance as we left
independence.
Independence. And poor us, we never know, so it wouldn't be much different. But we were dancing. Let's go. Let's go.
All right.
Right. Applause. Oh my gosh, spontaneous applause. Billy, you have to tell me this because I can't not ask it. What is the instinctive response to that music? When you're playing it, what do you see people doing to that music?
Dancing.
I find that my hips wouldn't keep still.
Yeah, man.
What about you, Percy? What for the men? You put tapping or your head bobbing.
Or your elbows.
That is hip swaying music. I could, even though I was saying Brookings, I know there's a dance. As you were playing, I could see the dance. Yeah. And I can't tell you I've ever really, it was, yeah, you do have talent.
Yeah, man, when you watch
have talent in your hands. I used to them doing a thing.
Yeah,
like right. Yeah. And the other piece that you're going to do, even though it's not fast food and I'm not rushing you.
What is that?
The other rhythm that you're going to play is, what's what again? You just transition. So I felt the transition, but I'm saying, okay, so it's more urgent now.
Yeah.
Yes, I wish you had given me a nod. I'm here saying, all right, there must be more.
There could be more, but
no, thank you. And it is intense. I watch you getting into it. And so you play at Kumina celebrations.
Yeah, I'm going to play at Kumina celebration weekend coming.
Where is that?
There's a thing called Tambo Fest in Portland.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
have you ever been taken over by
no
ancestors?
No.
The ancestors leave the drummers alone because they know they know the drummers need to keep other people in play.
Yeah, I've been going to the session for years though. I remember one time coming from St. Thomas, because St. Thomas is where it's usually
it's
and I'm coming home in the vehicle, and then I went to my bed. And the rhythm was just playing in my head, literally. After I leave the session,
still drumming.
You just hear the drum clear in my head. So
yeah, but you know, I did want to dive into a little spiritual chat with you simply because of the drums. What is it about the drums that bridges that gap between two worlds? I mean, you chose the drums as your weapon of choice. We're talking warfare. What is it about the drums that the voices of the drum is so distinctive and so commanding?
Well, the drum speaks, and you can actually, I mean, if you're into it, or if you've studied like some history, you'd see that the drum was a part of us from Africa. Everything come out of Africa. So the drum, because I have a drum they call it talking drum, and it actually talks when you play it. If you know how to play it, and so the drumming has been a part of us from then.
It's kind of like the heartbeat.
So it's like a heartbeat, yeah, man.
All of the culture. I mean, when you say us, you mean human.
Humans, yes.
No, because all of them have.
Yeah, man, it's very strong. It's even when I'm playing, sometimes I can get carried away. Just keep playing.
Yeah, just completely connected to the sound and the pulse of it. Yeah, well, I was so carried away, I didn't realize it was tree music. I was waiting on the.
No, we work on that.
No, that is why
I felt the transition, undoubtedly, but I said, surely he would stop and say, now we move to part 2. I'm an announcement person. But I did feel the shift.
Yeah.
Let me see where we are.
Music is important. The Psalms speak very much in terms of the music and what it does. It's warfare. When
yes, that's why I said weapon.
Enter into warfare.
It's warfare. It's worship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it says, listen to Psalms 149. It says, may the praises of God always be on their lips, a double-headed sword in their hands, ready to take revenge on the nations, to punish the foreign peoples, to imprison their kings in shackles and their leaders in iron chains, to impose the judgment decreed against them.
So where's the drum?
For all of them, because it's a part of the music.
I didn't hear the drum. I didn't hear the reference to
tambourines and all of those things, because this is a very important.
Oh, you're saying music. Music is
generally.
warfare. Yes. All right. I got you.
I guess there must be a science involved in the communication, because it transcends physical into spiritual.
Yes,
it does.
So there's
a frequency.
Be a frequency
of music, yeah, man.
right, that opens up
a channel of communication,
and not just communication, because in terms of coming on those sessions, ancestors actually travel. Like you open up a portal and they travel and they mount the individual. So there must be
there's something powerful in music.
Like a frequency
that
it vibrates to a certain frequency and it shifts things in the atmosphere.
Remember Lucifer led worship.
Why are you reminding me about Lucifer's track record?
He did music. Music.
Yeah.
Kind of music.
Well, music is.
Well, some cultures have Lucifer, not like how we have him and put him in a bad
right. Yes.
place.
Yes.
They have him as a crossroad that you can choose good or bad.
Okay.
You understand? But because he's the owner of the crossroads.
Of the worship, he led worship.
He's the gatekeeper.
He's the gatekeeper. So you have a choice in engaging him, whether you go right or left. You know, they don't just leave him left.
So you really go past him if you're going bad and past him if you're going good.
Exactly.
Right.
He's central in those cultures.
In some cultures.
Yeah.
Well, I see that you have started a trend. You're drumming in the background. It sounds like you have a student up there. Someone who could
doing some summer.
Yeah, it's part of the camp. Yeah. Lowell, so let your drums answer that drum. Talk back to the drum. No, you'd have to demonstrate mastery, because I don't think that drummer is nearly the quality drummer that you are. All right, I really do thank you for sharing with us. I'm tempted to ask you for more, but let me look to the producer to
One more into the break.
Oh,
one more into the break.
But I would have liked something that I could recognize. Either salsa or ska.
Rumba.
Well, yes, from your extensive repertoire. Which country have you traveled to where your music was received with the highest praise? Just what you do on the drums.
Oh, you mean drum?
Yeah. Is there a country where you were king?
No, you know, Brazil is one of them.
Yes.
All right. So you
practice.
What will you give us from Brazil?
And Europe.
And Europe?
Yeah, man. Europe.
Yeah?
They love drumming in Europe, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah, man.
But remember the
when you have the festivals.
Their early people were all drummers too.
Yeah, man. Most of the European countries.
The Druids.
The Celtic worshippers.
They're into drumming.
The forest people.
Yeah, all cultures. That's why I was saying
humanity. It's not just
every major
Africans.
culture is. Chinese drums are.
What's your favorite piece, Billy? What is your favorite rhythm that you love to play the most? Wake you up in the night and say, Billy, play me a rhythm.
One day.
I usually love Bawanko because it's a fast rhythm.
Yes, I did like that one.
And then you can do so much around it.
Yeah,
especially if you have another drummer playing.
Well, we don't have another drummer.
If you notice, I was trying to play Well, I was actually playing two parts. I was playing the basic rhythm with the right hand,
and
trying to cut. But there's so much more you can do with
more hands.
Drummer,
if you had another hand.
Somebody holding the basic. Need to grow another arm.
You need to grow another arm. Well, I'll leave it up to you if you want to play something else for us. What else it would be? Yeah. Maxine, I'm gonna ask what do you do for talent like this? That's gonna be my question when we come back. Percy, you're ready to learn. Percy's ready to learn. His fingers. Ready to learn. I love it. Yeah. I love it how you put the drums to bed. Just soften them. It's like, okay, now take it down. Maxine, I have to ask you this. When you a talent like this now, what would you as a manager and a curator of talent, what would you do with Billy? Billy comes to you and says, what is it? Make me
a superstar.
Make me into a superstar.
Well, what came in my mind as you prepared to ask me the question here is that I remember the show The Lion King, the Broadway musical, and and even the Irish
Riverdance.
Right. So, you know, drums, choreography, etc. You would, you know, you could move it to that level, not just acting as a part of a band,
Mm-hmm.
but where you could break it out to be a show in itself by, you know, using it to choreograph, communicate, as you know, we said, what the drums are able to do, and the range of skills, you know, the sound. I was watching his fingers, like I'm saying, what is playing what? You know, because he's but what it's different.
There's the palm, you have to walk us through
I mean, I know about it, but you know,
having it right there
so closely, like that.
It's a basic rhythm that you
what's our heartbeat, you know? It's
the things to
a basic line, and then you
because when one drummer is playing and you have two drums, you have to try and hold the basic rhythm which another drummer should be
doing,
and you doing what you're doing on top. But
you're doing both.
You
are the maestro. All right, it's time for our 9:30 break. We're going to reimagine a whole new career for Billy, a solo career, just drums. When we come back.
You're listening to Bess100.
Veg Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veg Printers, your best choice in printing.
You good? You can get better. Spread the word. Straight Up gets better on Bess FM. Straight Up Jerry Small, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays on Bess100 FM. 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Jerry Small. The numbers are 279-8473, 279-8473, and 619-1508. 619-1508. Also streaming live on the internet. Bess FM, Straight Up, Robin Jerry Small.
If you got to feel it, you got to be clean. You got to make it straight. You can't be lean. Share the joys togetherness can bring. To the true soul, you just have to cling, and then you will feel it, you'll feel the soul inside of you.
Bess FM, strictly the best. I'ma say a real reggae music. Music for the black nation. Roots rock reggae music. I'ma say consciousness is the key. Kabaka pyramid.
There will be days when you're too tired to move, to drive, but you think you have to because your vehicle won't wash itself, right? But no, you don't have to visit a car wash. 123 Mobile Car Wash will come straight to you. Yes, you heard right. 123 Mobile Car Wash is offering services in Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Catherine. We shampoo and detail cars, trucks, offices, and more. No job too small. Call us at 876-631-3400. 123 Mobile Car Wash. We come to you.
Bess100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
Bess FM 100.1.
100.3, 100.5, 7 and 9. Hey, yeah.
Welcome back. As we enter into this last segment of the show, I want to keep Billy and Maxine at the table with us, because I would love for us to explore a little bit on, since both are practitioners in the industry from different perspectives, how are we going to fulfill the promise that the wealth of culture holds for keeping Jamaica not just on track, but now taking us to the next level of prosperity? We have a performer, and we have a manager, imagineer, innovator, and certainly a specialist in how you handle your intellectual property after you have created the product.
I was like,
well, the truth is, I loved what we were talking about in the break. So you can tell that Billy has acquired some wisdom. His beard is white. So he's at that stage of his life now when he could transition into another type of earning, which is a part of the future too, teaching.
Right. Well, as you were talking about the whole issue of culture and wealth, one of the basic things that we have to do is to redraw the map of Jamaica, you know, and include now Jamaicans who have set up shop in the diaspora. And if you redraw that map and include them in your design and planning, then immediately
some fresh opportunities,
some immense wealth. First of all, it's automatically generated because you have now incorporated them in.
Yes, so it adds to your balance sheet. You're saying
adds to your balance sheet. Yes. That's number one, and because, you know, as I had spoken to you off air, so many of our brilliant minds are brain drained into the diaspora, but they still have a huge, like myself, a connection with Jamaica, but not clear ways of remitting.
Right. Yes.
Other than Western Union, but remitting
the transfer of knowledge.
The transfer of knowledge. I noticed that certainly the leader of the opposition and possibly the Prime Minister, etc., were wooing the diaspora recently. Yeah, and I know there's a diaspora board, etc., but I think but
they tend to look they want to look at housing, and they want to look at how people are resettled if they come home. They want to look at investment opportunities in the traditional areas and so on. How do we draw the attention to culture? Because I mean, Billy spoke about, you should tell us what you spoke about in your youth when you were traveling and you did workshops abroad. What was the purpose of that? Because you were then transferring knowledge to foreigners.
Yeah, that was like summer now. You see all of these activities that's going
the camps.
So
yeah,
they usually have an exchange. So the school from the school of dance, like to let's say like a Jido. That's an English group, but it's mainly black people.
Okay.
So you usually have like an exchange in the summer when we would go up and teach them the Jamaica. Whoever is responsible for dance, like I'm the drummer, Miss Barnett will be the dancer.
Yes.
You know, if it was Miss Wiley, it would be music. But
so they were exporting our culture,
so
yeah, well, we exported our people. So the culture would naturally follow. You know, or yeah, because I mean, as you're speaking about Billy going, but what set the platform for Billy to go is the Jamaicans who went there and lived and created that
the appeal, the awareness,
because we wouldn't have been invited had it not been the Windrush.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Wanting that demand and then spreading it to the neighbors.
Right.
Yeah.
And then even giving us a chance to go there because nobody would be carrying us to a hotel and booking thing and whatever. We oftentimes went there to family and friends. And then from there, we
branch out.
Because we couldn't afford to stay in a hotel for 2 weeks.
So the question is, how do you introduce an element of entrepreneurial activity into all of that? Because if I go to visit, you know, you're a drummer and you go to visit family and something come up and you decide to play and it stirs up something, you could get a gig out of it. Somebody might say, you know, there's a place and come back and an opportunity is born. But that, as Dr. Thompson was saying, the one or two persons who get a break through that kind of activity, you call it sample. How do you take it from one or two to now there's a structure in which 20 people go every summer?
But we do that, you know. It's just that we don't count it, because if you look at the music, you know, that's why I said redraw the map and bring these statistics forward. So instead of you saying, oh, we contributed X to GDP or whatever, however you're measuring it, you're not measuring it in its reality.
Yeah,
and
so
you're not.
You're repeating to me the point I made to Dr. Thompson, that when we ranked so low in the Global Innovation Index, they were measuring something other than our reality.
Exactly.
So you're saying
because
the same is
I'm
true in
looking
that
at my
field.
uncle, Clement Dodd, and the fact that he spent, and my career started with his 30 years that he spent in Brooklyn. He spent 30 years in Jamaica doing the fundamentals of the sound system, etc., etc. But he also spent 30 years in America.
Okay.
With the same assets, etc., etc. But how is that recorded now in its totality? Are you just talking about what he did in Jamaica? Or are you going to speak about the 30 years?
The cumulative value of it.
The problem they have now at the Administrator General.
Oh my Lord.
That takes us into a whole lot of business.
No, like trying to say what is the value of his estate? Is it just at Brentford Road? Or is it also at
that was interesting, because that idea of withdrawing the map is one that we need to do as an expedient choice in terms of understanding your marketplace, understanding what the implications
are
for you and even GDP. One of the things that occurred to me is that a lot of our high school or tertiary people go overseas to camps, to do camps, to work in these summer camps, and invariably, if you're Jamaican, you're gonna be part of the
you're gonna perform
in that camp. And so that's another way of rejoining it in terms of the impact, creating a need that people say, I want that, so I'll come to Jamaica.
Yeah, especially if your valuation is not done on literal dollars.
Yeah.
You know, when your trade, what do you call it?
Balance of payment.
Balance of payments, and how much do you contribute, or how much are you exporting to America?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if our
we
trade
included
balance
everything?
was included that?
But that's
America
why
could owe us.
That's why now they're doing social stock exchange and social enterprise is such a big thing. I have to acknowledge the people online who are sending some serious love to Congo Billy. Just Irvan says drumming and chanting is included in our prayers.
Yes.
You know, there's a comment too that you're loving the drumming of Congo Billy. I feel the spiritual vibes by listening carefully. So it's effective, and I am especially thankful that
should I stand up and start moving the hips, you know, and say, yes,
I cannot unsee what Pastor is doing.
I thought at one point this time, you know, Maxine, I heard you moving.
Rub my eyes like start again. No man, it's hip swing music like the women.
Yes, man.
But you were tapping your fingers. I said that man is ready to learn some drumming. But I want to say thank you, Congo Billy. God bless you.
Yeah, give thanks.
God bless you.
Every time. Every time.
Yeah. I love it that you listen to us, and I love it that you tell people about the show. And I especially love it that you made the time to celebrate with us.
Had to.
Yes. I'll get you a shirt.
Yeah, man, this is a fantastic show.
Yeah, and you know, and as he said, his music is not just a drummer. It's not some conscious music. Yesterday when we were coming out, he came out with one of his songs. Big up.
Yeah.
Good music.
We are playing your music. And would you believe it? It's not because Lowell said.
No, it's
the engineer found it and included it in the playlist.
Yeah, because I was listening, did a man sit listening to the program.
Yes, sir.
Is
that slow music, one of the slow music?
Yes.
Yeah,
I love song. That's true.
Okay.
Sounds like Congo Billy.
Okay. No.
Yes.
I expect them to play more of the reggae songs.
No,
I mean, it's a nice song still.
It is a lovely song, and the video is even lovelier.
Yeah.
You can find it online.
Yeah, man.
All right, Maxine, what can I say? You've become family to us, and I've said it more than once. I appreciate all that you do, kind of pushing the stone up the hill, even when it looked like it might crush you. You keep going,
but it has so far.
Yeah, and we have the same spirit of taking on monumental tasks, knowing that it has impact even if we don't see it right away. So I see. Yes. Oh, not to take. Well, let me just thank Raphael back at the studio. I have time. Yeah. Let me thank Raphael back at the studio. I thank my mother. I thank the Almighty God. I thank the producer, without whom I wouldn't be here. Pastor Percival, thank you also. I thought we were under the gun, so I was beginning to do the Grammy speech. Oh, we're not under the gun. Yeah, but it is time to say goodbye. And our thanks to the Ligani Club and to JD's Urban Pub. I hear they have corn pork. I say that with a great deal of irreverence.
Because Billy's here.
No, because Wayne was teasing me about my pork-loving ways.
Embrace is a pork eater.
Yes, I represent all humanity. At Ligani Club, JD's Urban Pub, I haven't left anyone out. Of course, our Bess FM family are to be congratulated. And yes, Dr. Thompson for starting us off with something to think about. And when he comes back, we're gonna see. We'll investigate some of the assumptions that underpin what we're doing, how we can shift it so that there's a more prosperous future out of the abundance of things that we know exist. Percy, have a good weekend.
No, but this is our Friday. Monday is Emancipation Day. What's that?
Let that be a pleasant surprise.
For them all,
I love to see my people living in love. I hate to see them fighting and swimming in blood. Enough neglect the farming, scarring in the mud, yet they wanna be
Jamaica's year, not the calendar year. There's a lot of work to be done, so we gotta get all the excitement out of our system so we can hit the ground running once we get into the second week of August. Goodbye. So long. Let me see if Taki won't say what we yet. Oh, he has. Therefore, we can leave.
Don't let it bust her. Them said them think they take too long to grow and start to cuss her. I couldn't trust them when those are so I trust her. Such is life. Them say I just heard. I take a shot heights what them call the squatter land. Some say big government. fi Matalan. Still no one share, although them got a lot of land. Them want fit on a gun range and shut a land. Rasta tell them all the while, stop war and go till the side. Stop fighting for land and all. Feed the coil, so many go defile. Slave master spit in them face, them take that with a smile. The bunks of the Nile, so my land so fertile. Acres more than a zillion mile. The people acting vile, pick up cannibal style. One devour mama, papa and child. Politician not talk, certain thing them not mention. Say a drugs and gun, the people tax money spent for. Come with plastic smile and them wicked intention. In your hand, I with them put them evil invention. Turn gun model, seeking attention. See them know you dead and that is no redemption. Parents I wonder where to get the first centrum. To bury the dead, them not even got pension. Rasta